Officially the first Monday and the first day of life with no football. It's sad. Not as sad as the fate that awaits me.
Why would? Oh. But you, well.
Yeah. Not as sad as that. But sad nonetheless.
Well,
and at least we got a barn burner of a football game out of it.
Jeez. Well, hope you learn your lesson.
What lesson?
Pick the games right.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, hi, good morning, Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn Heath Griffin. We got a lot to do on the program today. Coming up later on this hour, we'll talk some Terps. Former Terps forward James Gist will check in with us after Maryland did pick up a 90-81 win over Rutgers yesterday. It was a weird game. Built up a huge lead, let Rutgers right back into it. It kind of seemed to be following a little bit of a formula. And then, thankfully, they pulled away again at the end, although even that got hairy for a second. Great day, obviously, for Derik Queen. Dominant. A bit of a bummer because the Ace Bailey, Derik Queen thing, not that they were going to be matching up against each other like positionally, but just one against the other never really materialized because Ace Bailey was apparently under the weather yesterday. Juju Reese, not really a factor. Weird game. Weird game. But Derik Queen, phenomenal for all of the kind of muted conversation about whether or not Derik Queen maybe was hitting the wall or wasn't really a first round, whatever it was. He kind of maybe he heard all of that and he had something to say. Although he definitely brought up that he was motivated by wanting to win Freshman of the Year in the Big Ten. He brought that up post game. You wonder how much the word got to him that allegedly there were 50 NBA scouts at the game yesterday between he and obviously the Rutgers freshman. Like, I don't know. But anyway, we'll talk to James Gist about the Terps after they get a win over Rutgers yesterday. Also coming up on the program today, we will talk about Johns Hopkins' 3-0 start to the season. After they beat Georgetown on Saturday, Matt Collison, who scored a 10-man ride busting goal to start the game on Saturday from beyond midfield. He's going to check in with us, Canadian native. And also today, Jeremy Conn joins us as he does every Monday. That's all on the way on a Monday edition of GCR. Today's show brought to you by the CIAA Tournament.
It's coming up. Baltimore welcoming the excitement of the Food Lion CIAA Men's and Women's Basketball Tournament to CFG Bank Arena from February 25th through March 1st. Get your tickets now. They are available at Ticketmaster.com. Again, head over Ticketmaster.com for the Food Lion CIAA Men's and Women's Basketball Tournament at CFG Bank Arena, February 25th through March 1st.
Congratulations to the Eagles. It's weird. I feel like if the game had been thrilling and they had won, there would be more to embrace about the Philadelphia Eagles, like the drama of them finally stabbing a knife to the heart of the Kansas City Chiefs, but weirdly, because it was a blowout, I don't feel like there is as much of that. I think it's more just like, oh, okay, that happened. As I said in the 2 weeks leading up to the game, it was tough because we all knew we didn't want the Chiefs to win because we just don't want the Chiefs to keep winning. But at the same time, it was, for whatever reason, it was just hard to come up with a way to make it seem like the Philadelphia Eagles were America's team. And there's a little bit, I'm doing my annual sort of vomit column after the Super Bowl for PressBoxOnline.com where I just gorge myself with dip, and then I take a video. Everybody gets to see it. It's beautiful.
Becomes a column.
Yeah, it's weird. You would think that really wouldn't be a great topic, but it's worked for me every year. No, I just sort of throw out all my thoughts, so I'll probably end up giving away a handful of them right here. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because they had just been there 2 years ago and had just won it a few years before that we certainly don't think of the way that the entire country would have been rooting for the Lions, right? Like, because they were long-suffering and miserable. That wasn't there. And Eagles fans aren't exactly thought of as, like, the kindest people in the world. Again, the thing we most associate with Eagles fans is like attacking Santa Claus. It's. I'm not trying to say they're all bad people. There's certainly I would take Philadelphia folks any day over folks in Boston any day. My God, any day. I, for the most part, like Philadelphia. Like, I've always enjoyed my time there. A lot of people who choose, like, I always do this bit where I ask somebody why if they're from here, why they're a Capitals fan, and they're like, well, because they're the closest. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Depending on where you live, that might not be true. Like, depending on traffic that day, it sure as hell ain't true. Like, geographically, it may be a little bit closer, but if you're living in, like, Harford County, you know, I've always enjoyed, like, when the options are I could go to a show in Philly or I could go to a show, like, in Northern Virginia, I've kind of tended to go the other way. Like, stay the hell away from the hellscape that is D.C., Northern Virginia traffic and go to Philly. I've had a lot of great times over the years in Philly. I think Rita always says, like, we're cousin cities, and I feel some of that. But that doesn't mean that they're embraceable. Like, I'm not rooting for them. It's the same thing. Like, just because I've had great times in a city doesn't mean that I'm suddenly like, oh, hell yeah. Like,
rank the Big Five schools.
What's that? Rank them?
Yeah.
Well, the only one that's ever paid me is Temple, so.
All right, so Temple number one.
I think Drexel's not a Big Five school. I take it back. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's right. Yeah.
But they're not.
I was gonna say I don't mind Drexel either.
Yeah, I like Drexel. In fact, I think my buddy used to be the SID at Drexel. He used to get us to go up to games, and whenever they were doing $1 hot dog night, he'd be like, "Come up, we'll all do some drinking the night before," and like it was some old buddies from college, and we'd go up there and we'd get hammered. It was a great time, and then we'd all eat $1 hot dogs and hang out at the DAC, the Daskulskis Athletic Center. Yeah, I don't know. I got no beef with Philly, really, but their fans are who they are. I mean, like, they kind of have a type. In a way, that image of Nick Sirianni, like, fighting with Philly. What was the game where they barely beat a bad team this year?
The Jags. They barely beat the
Jaguars.
Jags. Yeah.
And Nick Sirianni was, like, fighting with Eagles fans, and I was just like, yeah, that's about right. Like, all of that is about right. And can I be honest?
Not raising any eyebrows here.
Yeah, like, you're like, yeah, all that image, yeah, that checks out. Like, yep.
No, you suck.
Yeah. Right. You suck. No, you suck. No, you suck. You suck. That's just, you're like, yeah, that's sure. That's who they are. That's about right. Which, again, that works for them. Internally, they love that. The rest of us, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Kind of an exhausting lot. Good for them. But they weren't embraceable. Like, I'm certainly not. I wasn't high-fiving. My kid was trying to get me because he's sick of the Chiefs and is pretending.
Really? He's learning.
My kids are doing the bit where they pretend like they hate Taylor Swift when they really like Taylor Swift. It's hilarious. It's a hilarious bit. They're like me. They don't like any of the new stuff because the new stuff. So I can't believe how much taste my kids have. 10 and 7. Like, if they hear Bad Blood, they're singing along. That's a bop. We all know that's a bop.
As well as hoping would happen at halftime. Taylor would come down.
Oh, yeah.
They do Bad Blood.
No, I'm good. That's a bop. The stuff from the last 3 albums, mostly bad. But they're still doing the bit where they're like, hey, because it's like the cool thing. Like, we're boys. We have to hate Taylor Swift. The girls like Taylor Swift, so we have to hate her. So because of that, like, my older son really wanted to be, and, Travis Kelce by extension. So he really wanted to be an Eagles fan last night. So, like, after the Eagles scored early, he, like, went to high-five me, and I was like, yeah, not really. Like, yeah, okay, I get it, but we're not.
I wouldn't have high-fived him either because I needed Saquon to score that first touchdown.
Oh, son of a bitch.
So that didn't.
Also, I couldn't possibly explain to him how nervous I was about.
you actually like, really wanted the Chiefs to win.
Yeah, well, that on top of everything else. But look, man, if it was a situation where I thought America was fully on one side, I think America was like, yeah.
I was like, I
think it was exactly like that Country Roads thing that they tried to do at the game yesterday,
that was
where they were like convinced they were going to get the entire stadium to sing Country Roads together, because it happened in Germany once. It's a really bizarre bit. Like, people kind of like Country Roads. Like, it's sort of a popular song, but not really. Like, I don't know what it would be like if you went to a piano bar, because we don't have one in this city anymore, which is a bummer because that place was great.
Start one.
I don't know what it would look like today if you showed up at the piano bar and the guy played. I think there would be a pretty good sing-along, but pretty good. I don't. It was what a weird moment that was, where they were like, it has nothing to do with New Orleans. It has nothing to do with either fan base that's in the game.
Didn't it go from, because I happened to be up at that time, so I was like going from like one room to the other, and wasn't there a commercial that was
Yes, there
playing?
was a commercial,
So,
but they purposely thut that this whole thing would
so
become
I was very
this, like,
confused.
viral moment related to the song Country Roads. But which makes sense if, I don't know, it was a song that had, remember like when Running Up That Hill a couple years ago had new life because of Stranger Things?
Yeah.
There was nothing, the only thing that suggested that they could create a viral moment. There's a man on a roof, by the way. Are we at all worried about the man on the roof who's standing right on the edge of literally has his foot
his phone,
hanging off the roof? Are we at all
He looks
concerned
official,
about this?
right?
I am not sure.
Well, because they're always doing.
Yeah.
I see another maintenance man inside the building across from me.
We don't
inside
think
the building?
there's a situation here.
No, he's on his phone as well. Maybe they're communicating.
I'm not sure why he insists on keeping a foot dangling off the roof.
Yeah, I guess that could.
That's a bit
This becomes
much.
our problem. When
Like now that you're trying to convince me that you are not worried that it's a jumper, I'm now more like I think I hate the guy, because this comes off like oh, look at me, I can keep my foot dangling off the roof and I'm not gonna, like, dude, I don't know what to make of it. All right, sorry. I'm very sorry.
I think we'll be okay, right?
Well, I'm not worried about us. I'm a little worried about him.
Right. Well,
I think if it was a sniper, they probably would have gone ahead and acted by now. Like, this is I don't think it's a sniper situation. I'm just being honest, I was a bit concerned that it was a jumper. Right now, he's pulled his foot back from the ledge. I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. I would understand.
all right, here we go. Now we got something.
All right.
He's turning around.
I think we're good. All right. I think we're all right.
Okay,
Sorry.
he walked
I'm
away.
sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. If you saw what I saw, you would probably...
I think he got the information he needed.
I think we're okay. Like, everybody's all right here, but I'm telling you, I didn't know if we needed to call the authorities. I didn't know.
I think you talked him off the ledge.
You think that's what happened?
Yeah.
You think that's why he pulled out his phone as he was watching the show?
Yeah, he was watching. He was like, they do care.
Cut ties with all the lies that you've been living in, my friend. I don't want to make jokes about suicide.
Well,
I don't want to do that. I really don't. And legitimately, like, that was the first thing that came to my mind, was like, please tell me that's what you're telling me it is, and it's a maintenance person and not someone that's having an episode or an incident or anything like that. Thankfully, it doesn't appear to be the case, and we can move on with our day. I don't even remember what we were talking about. We were talking
about John Denver and
oh yeah, the Country Roads thing. What a miss! Like, what a huge. But it happened at that NFL game in Germany where, like, they played the song and the whole stadium was singing along.
I guess because the Chiefs were playing in that Germany game, so they were like, "Oh, it's a Chiefs thing." And
no,
it's not.
Like, definitively not. I have no idea what any of that was, and it was met with like the most tepid. They like cut to the crowd. Now we're gonna see the whole crowd singing the song, and there's like 6 people. They're like, yeah, this is the song that you're playing right now. Okay, it's just bizarre, man. What a bizarre moment. Anyway, we were talking about the football game, right? We were doing that, if I remember correctly. There's not much to say about the game. Congratulations to the Eagles. They built the best roster, bar none. And we all knew that. We saw that for some time. They were loaded at every level. And they deserve every ounce of credit for the drafting that they have done, the development, and then adding in shrewdly big swings on A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley to put them over the top. They built the roster. They did the thing that we keep kind of talking about with the Orioles, right? Like, you've got the core. You got that from drafting. But that core is not good enough on its own. Good pieces. Lots to like. There were lots of pieces to like about the Philadelphia Eagles roster. But they needed home run hitters, game changers, to put them over the top. And so they went and got them. They said, we've done our part internally. Now, externally, let's go win a Super Bowl. And they did that. And they deserve, Howie Roseman deserves an insane amount of credit for the job that he did. there was a moment where when I was doing my PFWA balloting this year, and they got to Executive of the Year. I don't know why, but like instinctually, I almost went to put Brad Holmes from Detroit. Then I was like, "What? Wait, what? What am I talking about?" And I immediately deleted. Like, clearly, the answer is Howie. Look at the effing roster he put together. It's insane, the roster that Howie Roseman put together. So yeah, he deserves a boatload of credit, and they put together this just bonkers roster that, again, when all together, like the story to me of the season is when Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown were on the field together, the Eagles didn't lose a game. And that made them deserving champions. And they did the thing, they took the voodoo out of it. They did the thing that, frankly, other teams should have been capable of doing against the Chiefs, particularly given their kind of shoddy offensive line, which is don't let them have the chance to voodoo their way at the end of the game. The Eagles put the boots on their throats early on, and the Chiefs were lost. The Chiefs' offensive line, big story. It's obviously reminiscent of their Super Bowl loss to the Buccaneers in 2021. I thought this Eagles team, this Eagles front was better than that Buccaneers front was. Like, to me, that was a story of an incompetent offensive line. And again, how they got to that Super Bowl in hindsight is, I don't know. This to me wasn't an incompetent offensive line. It was certainly a down offensive line, and then it met just an insane Eagles front, like a just crazy good Eagles front. And that ended up being the difference. And give them all the credit in the world. It's a huge bummer that Jalen Hurts.
One MVP.
And I don't know how to say this the right way. Like I want to have this conversation without it coming off like it's just me trashing Jalen Hurts. It's not. Jalen Hurts was largely great last night. The interception was dreadful, but Lamar threw a dreadful interception a couple weeks ago. People throw dreadful interceptions sometimes. It's just that MVP doesn't do anything to tell the story of the game. The story of the game last night was the defense. Period. Point blank. Jalen Hurts also played well, but the defense was the story. And it feels like either collective voters couldn't come to an agreement on Josh Sweat versus
Cooper DeJean or
and since none of them are uber superstars. It's one thing, like in 2000, when the Ravens had an uber superstar at linebacker, and they were like, well, the story of the game is the defense, so make it their best defense. The Eagles kind of don't have that, right? Like, is Zach Bond the closest thing they have to a star defensively?
Jalen Carter, I guess.
Maybe, but it's just good players kind of everywhere. They're just loaded with good players. And so maybe some people that wanted to vote for defense voted for Cooper DeJean, and some people that wanted to vote for defense voted for Josh Sweat. Probably should have been the answer. Honestly,
probably. I mean, I think there's a strong case for DeJean too. I mean,
just because the play was so huge and kind of, it feels like if we were doing the 5 plays that told the story. That, although again, they're always hard to do in blowouts. Not easy to do, like 5 plays when the game's a blowout. But it feels like that would be the one that the game was over. Like, in hindsight, it was over.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
And if you're doing your pats on the ass in Philly, it's, I guess, Sweat ends up being the one.
Sweat's the guy. Yeah, he's the guy. And that's, to me, why he probably was MVP. Add in, Milton Williams probably gets – and that might be what happened in voting, is that some people are always just going to pick the quarter. They just always are. Whenever you put the word V in, or the letter V in an honor, it's like, well, it has to be the quarterback. That's the way it goes. So that might be part of it, is that there are enough people that were always just going to vote V, and then the people that actually were willing to consider it just couldn't coalesce around one player, and that allowed for the voting to default to Jalen Hurts. But it's only a bummer in that it doesn't really reflect, like, for history's sake, it doesn't really reflect what happened in the game. If in 20 years somebody said, "Oh, Jalen Hurts won this," like, yeah, he did, yeah, but not really. Like, it was really about the defense. So that was a bummer. There's a bigger Jalen Hurts. Like, I'm stunned that we haven't started doing the "is Jalen Hurts elite" thing yet. Like, I'm stunned that we haven't gotten there because it feels like that really is the fascinating part of the conversation. It's very chicken and the egg. Was Jalen Hurts really good this year because he was just given so bloody much to work with? Or did Jalen Hurts get really good and help lift the things that were around him? That seems hard, right, to argue because, my God, look at what's around him. A brilliant offensive line, the best running back in football, a true number one wide receiver, and a number two wide receiver that would be number one in, 2/3 of NFL cities. Like, it's tough to say that it's a Jalen Hurts first conversation, but you don't get to discredit Jalen Hurts in that either. I've been tough on Jalen Hurts. I never thought Jalen Hurts was trash, but Jalen Hurts always had an uncanny ability to make inexplicable throws that you just couldn't make heads or tails of. He certainly limited those this season. They weren't gone entirely, but he limited.
And he was never a guy that was going to be throwing for 400 yards,
right.
Which again, not many do. But
that's true. But also, they did that. They smartly built a team that made the most sense for Jalen Hurts. Use him as a runner, make the run game a major threat. I mean, they did everything right. But when you say those things, this is what happens when we have these conversations. You start to hear yourself, and it's like, isn't that what somebody says about Lamar Jackson? You know Lamar Jackson's definitely better than Jalen Hurts. Like, you know that because, again, we have eyes. But you start to feel like you're being too critical of Jalen Hurts. I don't know where Jalen Hurts is.
They just don't ask Jalen Hurts to do all the things Lamar does. And
they certainly don't.
Yeah.
Must be nice. I don't know how to talk about Jalen Hurts. I feel like the conversation about the best quarterbacks in football, there's 4, and then there's debate to be had. And maybe Jalen Hurts gets to default into saying, well, today I'm the 5th best quarterback in football. Maybe. Just because he's the one that did it. And because there's not a strong argument to who number 5 is. Is number 5, Justin Herbert? It's probably not a good time to be trying to make that argument.
Is it Jaden Daniels? Yeah.
Is it? I've defaulted to that answer.
I guess, do we have to be careful because weren't we a lot of us saying this a year ago about C.J. Stroud?
Yeah, I mean, there's some of that. I think that Jaden Daniels has a more complete skill set than C.J. Stroud does, but yeah, that's the argument that people. If you say that, the one argument people make about is like, I want to see him do it again. I want to see him back it up. Yeah, sure. I mean, I get it, but there's no Jared Goff. It's fine. Nobody's, it's fine. Tail end of the career, Matt Stafford. I mean, there's not a great argument for who the next quarterback is after the top 4. And so if the answer is today, because Jalen Hurts is the one that did it, he defaults to being number 5, it's hard for me to argue against that. I wouldn't have a strong, if you asked me to, power rank the quarterbacks going into 2025, it would be between him and Jaden Daniels. And I think maybe today I would just say, yeah, it's Jalen Hurts. But in the eternal, but what if he was drafted to a team? What if we redrafted all the quarterbacks and he went to a team where he didn't have Saquon Barkley, he didn't have A.J. Brown? I have no idea. No clue. But I also try to not get lost in the sauce about that type of stuff in the way that a handful of people tried to twist themselves into pretzels over Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson. Jalen Hurts did what he was supposed to do, and he deserves a good deal of credit for it. And we do measure quarterbacks by Super Bowls, and now he has one. And, the majority of those guys in the top 4 don't. 3 out of the 4 of them have a combined 1 Super Bowl appearance. That's the reality. That's what it is. So he's got that going for him, and no matter what our opinion is of him versus those guys, that matters. The Chiefs, the offensive line thing was a mess. I don't think we always like to do the most in these situations and like hyperbolically say, well, we're watching the window close. No. No, we most certainly are not. Patrick Mahomes will be, 30 years old this time next year? No, we are not watching the window close. I assume both Andy Reid and Travis Kelce will be back. Andy Reid kept saying he'd be back. Travis Kelce, I guess there was a little bit more gray area there.
Yeah, well, because Patrick Mahomes, I guess someone asked Mahomes.
Yeah, and but everybody
made it into a deal.
Everybody seems to think Travis Kelce's going to be back. But look, he's not. He isn't prime Travis Kelce anymore. They've tried to sort of put it all together. I wonder if they had Rashee Rice, what kind of difference that would have made. But I don't know, because last night the story really was the offensive line. But the last time they got their asses handed to them up front in the Super Bowl, they went and improved their offensive line. And 2 years later, won back-to-back Super Bowls. They're obviously bitter because the three-peat thing was they had a chance to legitimately make history and separate themselves a little bit. But they've still won 3 Super Bowls as a core. Like, they're still the big dog until proven otherwise. That's the way that it works. Like, all these AFC teams still have to prove that they can go beat Kansas City in the playoffs when it matters. And then they might have to deal with this Eagles team. There's no reason to think that. Yes, they have some Josh Sweat, for example, coming off. That couldn't have been a better moment for Josh Sweat, who now gets a blank check in free agency. Whatever the yesterday's price ain't today's price for Josh Sweat. Anybody who is like, that's a team, I think a lot of Commanders fans were really eyeing Josh Sweat because, again, the Commanders have $1 bajillion to spend in free agency. That price just went up big time. They'll lose some pieces, but for the most part, that core looks like it's going to come back together, and they'll be a threat again. A major threat, because they have a really, I don't want to say flawless, but minimally flawed roster. Minimally flawed. So they're going to be a major threat. There's no question about it. They will be a massive threat to win another Super Bowl moving forward, as long as they can keep this insane roster as together as possible.
John in Little Rock said, Philly, like it or not, is an incredible sports city. So he was kind of pushing back a little bit. Baltimore has gotten a reputation as well for being having obnoxious fans. That's what John said.
Everybody has a reputation for having obnoxious fans. Philly, we're not going to compare the two.
And that's also what he said. Every fan base has their atrocious fans.
But the national reputation of Philadelphia is they attack Santa Claus. Like, that's the way we discuss Philadelphia fans.
Right. Everyone was saying, no matter what happened last night, they were going to.
Everybody has them. There's no question that every city has exhausting, like the that's what I said when everybody's trying to make a big deal out of the idiot Ravens fan who just got sentenced last week. Everybody's got those guys. They're not a reflection. That one isn't a reflection of the fan base. The reputation of Philadelphia fans goes beyond that. That doesn't, to me, mean that, like, I'm angered that they get to celebrate. Like, no, good for them. But it's not embraceable either. There's no reason for the average person to be like, oh, hell yeah, Philadelphia. It doesn't exist. Not that I think that would exist if it was the Ravens either. Not that far removed from having won one. The Lamar story would probably be a bit more embraceable. I know a lot of people are trying to play up the Jalen Hurts getting benched in the national championship game thing, but we're kind of doing a lot there when we make it seem like Jalen Hurts. Like, he ain't Kurt Warner. Like, Jalen Hurts wasn't bagging groceries. He got benched in one game, and it happened to be the national championship game. For the most part, Jalen Hurts has been a well-thought-of prospect turned into a well-thought-of court. Like, we were kind of trying to force it a little bit, specifically related to the time that he got benched, but it was forced. It was a forced narrative to try to make it seem like this is a great underdog story. No, not at all. No, it's neat.
It's relevant.
It's something. That's all it is. We got to take a break. I'd like to take a break, please. I think everything else is going to be up to date at PressBoxOnline.com related to the Super Bowl halftime show. You know what? Let's save it. We'll talk about it later. But that's all my thoughts on the game and the teams. When we come back in, speaking of teams, Maryland got a win over Rutgers yesterday. Former Terp James Gist will join us, share his thoughts on where Maryland finds itself. That's next. Glenn Clark Radio.
COVID-19 and flu viruses are circulating in Maryland. But don't worry. Protection is within arm's reach. Protect your health with this year's COVID-19 and flu shots. It's safe and convenient to get them both at the same time. Flex your protection. For more information, visit health.maryland.gov/vaccines.
This message paid for by the Maryland Department of Health.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
You're gonna love February at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Sweeten your Valentine's Day with a chocolate bar February 13th and 14th. Pamper yourself and your partner with Valentine's Day spa discounts February 10th through 21st. Celebrate the Year of the Snake and win a Lunar New Year luxury brand collection February 28th. Plus more ways to play, dine, and win all month. At Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
Later on today, Stan the Fan Charles and Ross Grimsley are going to catch up with John Miller, the author of the upcoming book, The Last Manager, about Earl Weaver. Not the John Miller, not the one, the broadcaster man. Not that one, a different John Miller, the author John Miller, but again, a topic that I think you're going to care about. You can catch it facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you miss it live, youtube.com/PressBoxOnline. Or PressBoxOnline.com/video for Stan, Ross, and John Miller talking about Earl Weaver and his upcoming book, The Last Manager. One quick other, I should have brought this up, the local note, the only real local note to me that matters for the Eagles is Thomas Booker. Great story, Ellicott City native, Gilman alum, fascinating dude. If you remember when we had him on leading up to the draft, he was talking to us about how he was in the Chinese Honor Society at Gilman. Just a really fascinating cat. Congratulations to Thomas Booker. Things didn't work out for him in Houston. Turned out to be another shrewd pickup that gave the Eagles just insane depth along the defensive line. And a great local story. Incredibly, just brilliant human being and good guy, Thomas Booker, now a Super Bowl champion, Gilman alum. Congratulations to him. Maryland holds off Rutgers yesterday, 90-81. An adventurous game as they bounce back from their loss at Ohio State 3 days earlier. Let's talk a little more Terps. I've been noticing this guy going to some games and just seeing him a little bit more invested in the program of late after a long career that he had professionally. He is former Terp James Gist, and he's back with us now here on GCR. James, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Man, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely,
man. Good to hear from you.
It's great to hear from you, man. Take me through. Your life has fascinated me, man. Like if I had gone back and told like good counsel James Gist, that you're going to spend a decade and a half like seeing the world and taking in all of the cultures, like playing basketball, would that have been something at the time that would have excited you? It would have been like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if that's what I'm all about. And how, what have this, like this run that you've had as a pro, what has that meant to you?
I mean, honestly, to answer your question, if anybody would ask me that question, you know, years back then, I would have either laughed at it or just thought like, you know, no way.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing basketball, you know, because it was fun. I didn't understand the process of, you know, getting to the NBA and all the stuff, how it works. So basketball was just a fun thing for me, and it just was something that became a vehicle to allow me to be successful, you know, for this long and throughout my career. But, you know, what I learned along the way was just, like you said, you know, I was able to go through different cultures. I played in Italy, Spain, Greece, Germany, France. You know, I was able to play with Wemby, you know, in France a couple years ago. Finished my career in Indonesia last year. You know, I was able to experience a lot of different cultures and just being able to adjust and accept, you know, where I'm at, you know, build and grow and learn and accept the culture. You know, that was something that was able to help me throughout my career.
But did being like a military brat maybe help like prepare you for that a little bit more? Did it make it maybe even a bit more exciting for you?
In hindsight, I do think it did. It prepared me in some way because growing up, you know, for people that don't understand, I was born in Turkey. So I lived there for like a year. And then I spent my first 4 grade school years, 1st through 4th in Germany. I traveled a lot, you know, as a kid. And we went through things that when I was now traveling as a professional myself, I was kind of prepared for, you know, when the lights pop off because you got too many things plugged up at one time. Or, you know, you ain't got no hot water, so you got to boil some hot water on the stove, you know, just to get some things done. You know, it was little things that you just learn on the fly that you didn't think about, you know, in those situations. You know, in America, everything is kind of on point. You can get it done immediately, but overseas, it doesn't work like that. You know, it works different. It works still, but it's just different. You know, you got to learn that and accept that.
Well, that's cool, man. First of all, we're really happy for you and the incredible career that you were able to put together professionally. And it's been great to see you back. And it was important for you to kind of like reconnect, and not to say that you were ever gone, just, you know, geographically, right? Like you were pretty far away. Was it important for you as your pro career wound down to like go out of your way to purposely like reconnect and identify and establish yourself again within the Maryland program?
I mean, that's kind of what it is. You know, I've been gone 16 years.
Right.
Been gone 16 years, man. And so it's kind of like an out of sight, out of mind thing. It's not like people don't like you or people don't follow you, but people don't see you. And so for that, you know, I've been doing basketball at a high level for a long time, but now that I'm transitioning, I want to get into coaching. That's my thing right now. So I got to get my face back out there in some way, you know, some way, shape, or form. So popping back up on the Maryland scene, a lot of guys, when I talk to NBA coaches and management and stuff, or, you know, people overseas, they say, have you talked to your alumni? You know, a lot of people say, go back to your school where you started. They usually help out. So that's what I've been doing in the meantime, is just trying to show face and let people know that I'm serious. This is what I'm on. You know, I'm back. And it just feels good to be back around.
That's awesome, man. James Gist is with us here on GCR. You picked a pretty good year to be hanging back around the program, by the way. You picked a decent
They're
year.
rolling right now. They're rolling right now.
Right?
They're rolling right now.
They picked a decent year for that. James, we saw yesterday, obviously, Derik Queen, like just an absolutely monster day. And it was weird because I feel like for a couple of weeks before that, there were some questions like, hey, is he hitting a little bit of like a freshman wall, or did maybe we overhype it too much and you just can't ever really rely on a freshman to be that good night in and night out? What do you make of the Derik Queen experience where we see like just dominant, like it was his floor yesterday, and then there are some games where it seems like he's not totally there? What do you make of all of that?
I mean, I think it's just a style of play right now. You know, the thing about Derik Queen that strikes me and that stands out is just his composure. You know, when he plays like he's a veteran, man. He plays like he's been here for 15 years and he's just a freshman. And his ability to pass and create is just amazing. You know, I believe that he's Maryland's best playmaker. You know, even though he's his ability to create for the rest of the team is just organic. It looks natural. His ability to pass with both hands see the floor. He's unselfish, but he's also dominant. Like you said, he's able to score. He's able to dominate on the rebounds, and defensively, he's long. So he can definitely cover a lot of space, and so he brings a lot to the game. And when Maryland plays, how they played yesterday, when teams try to trap and double team him, and they give him options off of cuts. He hit Reese on a crucial and one. I think it was like 5 minutes left in the game, and seeing that connection between the bigs was huge, and so his ability to create and score just shows that he's a dominant force that you can create around.
That passing, particularly in the first half yesterday, that was as good ball movement as I've seen from a Maryland team in a really, really long time. And just the vision, the comfort that these 5 guys seem to have playing together, and even because Reese was on the bench for a good bit of that, it really is kind of astounding, isn't it?
It is. I mean, that was a good thing, too, to see what Maryland did, man. They bounced back from the crucial loss that they had against Ohio State. That was a big game. But they came back, and they were facing foul trouble, down the stretch in the second half. I think Reese had 4 and Queen had 3. And it was like, man, this could be a breaking point in the game where if they both get in foul trouble to the point that they foul out, that's a difference in the game. But they were able to keep the composure and also take over. And so that was a huge, character trait I wanted to see in the team, and they showed that yesterday against a really good, really talented Rutgers team. That's huge.
James, I wonder, the one thing that I felt a little bit in the Ohio State game was it felt like they needed a singular alpha. They just needed someone who, when things started going the wrong way, to say, okay, everything goes through me now. And you think about, the Gravis Vasquez types,
Right.
I don't think they have Jacoby may be the closest thing that they had to that guy, but I'll ask it to you this way. Is it better to have that one guy, or is it better that, it could be any guy on any particular night?
I think for me, it's better to have more options. When you play systematic basketball and you have, options from the perimeter, you have options from the interior, it goes game by game. The thing that I wanted to see against Ohio State was somebody step up from the defensive standpoint.
Yeah.
Because, you had one guy on Ohio State that was just, you couldn't turn the water off. It was on. It was his night, and he played good, and they had some other key players that helped out a little bit, but he was the main guy. And, you want to see one person on the Maryland guy side say, look, I got this. This is my responsibility. You guys take care of the rest, scoring and all that. But defensively, I'm here. I got to cut this water off. That's the way we're going to win, And when you have that, in the team, now you build trust, you build chemistry. And right now I see what the Maryland staff has done with this team, and they've done an amazing job, and they're just getting better and better. And you're seeing that in front of us.
It's a weird vibe that I feel, right? Because I know they're a good defensive team. I know they are. And that's the trademark of Kevin Willard coach teams is the defense, right? But yet, Does it also kind of feel like they could still be better defensively if they're going to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament?
Of course. You're only seeing potential right now.
Yeah.
Because they're getting better and better each game. You're seeing potential. You're seeing that they're worthy of being in the top 25. They made that clear. You're seeing that we have a interior force that's to be reckoned with and needs to be talked about more. I mean, you hear about the bigs that are at Michigan. You hear about, a lot of the tandems that are at these other colleges. But I think Reese and Queen need to be talked about more because they can dominate the paint just as well. And so with that being said, you have the ability to shoot the ball, you have interior, and you have a defensive presence. This is a team that if they continue to build and push in the right direction, that they can make a deep run. Coach Willard is a product of Rick Pitino. So defense is something that is huge and he knows about. And I know that that's going to be a huge point. They say defense wins championships, but you also got to score the ball. And I think that we have both.
James, I wonder what you make of the difficulties they've had on the road. And look, they had that great week with wins at Illinois and Indiana before, and they were losing at Ohio State. I'm not trying to make a comparison because I like the ACC. It's not like you guys never travel in the ACC, right? Like you guys went down south, Georgia Tech, Clemson, Florida State. But is there something more daunting about the difficulty of playing on the road in the Big Ten? Is it something that, as much as we all think they should just be better on the road, that like there is some unique difficulty, particularly being on maybe the far end geographically of the conference, the way that Maryland is?
I mean, the different intangibles that you got to take into consideration when you're thinking about this is not only the travel, because the ACC, Atlantic Coast Conference, we're just on the East Coast. Like you said, we're going up and down the East Coast. Travel probably wasn't more than like 4 or 5 hours at best. Going to Florida State probably was the farthest until Miami got into the conference. But Big Ten, you're going all the way west. You know, they just had to go to Oregon, Washington. What are we talking about? So, yeah, travel geographically is a problem, but also the style of play is different, too. You know, the Big Ten is more slow, half-court, methodical. The ACC was more high-tempo, you know, highlight basketball. You're playing against, you know, teams that are able to put up 80, 90 points a game. Big Ten, you're probably more around the 50, 60 mark. You know, if you get higher than that, then, you know, it was a good game. But typically, it's a bruiser conference. So there's a lot of different things that go into play when you think about the different styles of conference and what goes into it. But Maryland has been able to show that they can compete in both.
That's a very fair point. And yeah, the physicality, like to have to go through those types of games and travel and have to turn around and play again in a couple of days. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a very good point, man. I should have asked this when we were talking about Derik Queen. I assume that you whatever questions other people had about, hey, is this really a guy that should be going in the we know the talent is so overwhelming. There's no world where you would say he should think about whether or not it's best for him to leave. Like, he's definitely just a one and done guy, correct?
For me, just somebody who's gone through the process of everything, I wouldn't want to put any kind of expectation on him. I think that you kind of enjoy what you're watching and witnessing right now and allow him to continue playing at a high level and doing what he's able to do to help Maryland win. You know, and hopefully Maryland continues doing what they're doing. But the level that he's playing at right now, you don't usually see that, the type of big that he is. I mean, you have bigs come to the game. You have players come to the game that are special. And he's one of those, you know, just so he's a talent that you got to appreciate. And so you don't put an expectation on that. You enjoy it, and then whatever comes from it, comes from it. You know, I always say winning takes care of everything. If you win, then it was something that is going to produce results on the back end.
I appreciate that. Man. All right, so if there's one other thing, anything else that the difference between this team being good and being a team that can make that deep run, that can crack through second weekend or further in the NCAA tournament, what would that be for you?
One more time. I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
What would the difference, we know that this is a good team, but if there's a difference between being good and being a team that can make a deep run, what would still be something that would be a difference for you that you want to continue to see or see differently about this team?
Through my experience, you know, what I would say is the teams that last the longest are the teams that stay the most disciplined to the game plan. Follow what your coach is saying. Your coach is a coach for a reason. You guys are players for a reason. And, yeah, what you're doing is special, but understand that it's under the guidance of what your coach is telling you. And when you start to go deep in the tournament, scouting is huge and your game plan is huge. And it may be times of the game where it doesn't seem like it's working, but it's something that's working in the percentage of, you know, building what's going to work in the end of the game. And so if you stick with that, you know, and trust in that and you hold true to that, those teams that stay the most disciplined, those teams that play the hardest, you know, those are the ones that usually last the longest. So that would be my advice to them. Stick to what you guys are doing. Don't change up. Stick to what you're doing. Follow the game plan. Follow what coach is talking about.
All right. Now, you said you're looking into getting into coaching. On the intensity level, if we say Gary Williams was like a 9 out of 10, where would James Gist be on the intensity level as a coach?
Well, I'd say Gary's definitely not a 9 out of 10. He's probably like 13.
Yeah, you're probably
right. For me, you know, I've had the opportunity to be coached by some great coaches, man.
Yeah.
You know, Gary Williams, Greg Popovich. I had a chance to be coached by Rick Pitino while I was in Greece for a year. And so along with that and some other international coaches who are real high level and Hall of Fame worthy, for me, I would be a coach that's fair. But I would be a coach that would just expect, you know, high level focus, high level intensity, and so I would be a top tier coach for sure. But I understand, you know, that there's a change in the game right now, and so I'm willing to be flexible. I'm willing to adjust. As you know, I played in international basketball. We talked about adjusting the coaches before, so I'm adjustable. I'm fair, but I also expect, you know, high tolerance for everything. That was one thing that I saw in a relationship with all the coaches I saw. They had zero tolerance for, you know, anything less than a high standard of playing. So that's what I would look for as a coach.
That's what translates. I love that, man. James, first of all, I think anybody would be brilliant given all of your experiences. I think what that would do and the way that you could connect and Certainly at the college level, the amount of recruiting that involves trying to find those diamonds not diamonds in the rough, really, but like the players in Europe that are underlooked or underappreciated. I think it would be certainly a very smart decision for someone to be giving you a call. Is there anything we can plug for you, man? Are you on social anywhere that Maryland fans can be following you?
I am on social media right now. I have an Instagram handle that's called Monsieur Gist. I'm currently running a basketball camp that's going to be in Adelphi, Maryland on February 23rd. I'm now for Skills and Fundamental James Gist Skills and Fundamental Camp at Sonia Sotomayor Middle School, February 23rd from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And age is 8 to 17. And right now I'm just running camps and clinics, again, to get my face back out there. You see me at the Maryland games, I'm just talking and trying to connect and network again, just to get my face back out here. And hopefully one day I can get myself on somebody's bench and win a championship. That's my goal.
Man. I love that. And I'll throw out, because I just saw it on your Instagram, jgskillscamp@gmail.com. If you have any questions or want to know more about the Skills and Fundamentals Camp on Sunday, February 23rd, down in Adelphi. James, it's great to connect with you again, man. Really enjoyed this conversation. Would love to do it again. Thank you so much for hopping on with us today.
No problem, man. Anytime, feel free to holler at me, man. I appreciate it again.
Absolutely.
And take care.
You too, man. James Gist. Really fascinating cat. Appreciate him taking the time for us. And yeah, there was Derik Queen was dominant. I mean, he was the best player on the floor yesterday. Overwhelmingly the best player on the floor. And so you find yourself saying, like, that's what he's capable of. Like, that's what he can do. And I don't know if the story of yesterday was, as we alluded to earlier, there's 50 scouts in attendance. I got to put on a show. I'm up against, freshmen that have gotten all of this attention, so I want to show out. How do you get that night in and night out? Now, Rutgers doesn't have the dominant big men that some other teams have had. More perimeter. But that version of Derik Queen, that's the guy. Like, that's the guy that we saw against Purdue earlier this season. I guess the Purdue game, remember, I think he hit a couple of outside shots. But, that's every time they shot the ball, you were like, well, it's either going to go in or there's a real chance that Derik Queen's going to get it and score anyway. He was dominant. I still, that question that I have about alphas, I get the argument that it's good to have it be an option for everyone, but I still felt that yesterday. Like, when things started to slip away from Maryland yesterday, there was a part of me that wanted to be like, somebody needs to step in here. And instead, Jacoby Gillespie was the guy that was jacking up like a 27-footer on one possession. And I get that you don't want them to stop being who they are, but you just have that feeling of, all right, somebody needs to be the one to say, okay, right now, stop all everything else. Let me handle this until we've weathered this storm. They did it anyway yesterday. They handled it. And again, it helped that Ace Bailey wasn't able to be a factor. But I still, things that could end up being the difference in whether or not they could make a deep run, that one to me stands out. Still, good win. Good to bounce back. Good to shake off the taste and not allow the Ohio State thing to be something that snowballs. They got to keep stockpiling wins. That's the type of thing where yesterday it doesn't seem like it would be a bad loss, but a home loss to a team that's at best a bubble team, at best, certainly could end up playing a factor seeding-wise. They now go on the road to Nebraska on Thursday night, and it feels like this is the same thing where we're going to be like, it's Nebraska. Well, we remember just a couple weeks ago that Nebraska played Maryland to the final
wire,
horn. Yeah, in College Park. Well, and by the way, you know what Nebraska did yesterday?
Beat Ohio State.
Yeah, they beat the same team that you just lost to on Thursday night at home. It's life in the Big Ten, man. Life in the Big Ten. So Maryland, they get a nice win. You assume they'll stay in the top 25. by virtue of that, and now they head on the road to Nebraska on Thursday and then host Iowa Sunday. That's like a late afternoon game.
Yeah,
so
I believe it is 5 o'clock.
5?
Yeah.
So
next Sunday, yes, 5 o'clock.
Just selfishly, you kind of wish that was like a 7 o'clock game because we don't have anything. Oh, no, this Sunday night is the SNL thing, right? Yeah, I think this Sunday night is the so we do have something to watch this Sunday night because Lord knows that you will not get me to watch 1 second of the NBA All-Star festivities. Happy for, like, I guess whatever this G League thing is, like the G League involved in the Rising. Like I think there's a G League team in the Rising Stars Challenge, and I believe both Pat Spencer and Jameer Young are part of it, and those are our guys. You know, we love those guys, but not gonna get me to tune in. Like, you're not gonna get me to watch any of that. That's the there's nothing about the drop off from the end of football season. What hits so hard is how many people try to convince you that there are big events this weekend because it's the NBA All-Star Game and the Daytona 500, and you just don't give a rat's ass about. You cannot bring yourself to care even slightly about those things. And I know that there's going to be a NASCAR fan. I think Brian Powell, that are going to be like, oh, what are you talking about? If you're a NASCAR person, you care deeply about the Daytona 500. But unless, like, they've tried to make it seem like the Daytona 500 can have broad appeal. It can't. They've tried. It's either you're a NASCAR person or you're not. And that's just, unfortunately, the way that it goes. And for those of us that aren't NASCAR people, there's no there's no, oh, right, the Daytona 500. Yeah. There's none of that, man. It's a bleak feeling that first weekend. High school sports season, basketball season headed to the playoffs. And you can find out everything you need to know by going to countysports.zone. Countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Speaking of broad appeal, let's do all the ancillary Super Bowl stuff quickly here. Commercial stunk. Awful. And I know that we say that. We've said that like every year for the last decade, and I've always been like, maybe they're not quite as bad as you think they are. Last night's, I thought, was the worst year ever of Super Bowl commercials.
I like the McConaughey.
I don't even remember that.
I forget what it was for. I forget like what the reason was, but he was like a different. The one where he was like Peyton Manning, and he was like Omaha steak.
Oh, that one. Yeah, no.
That one was funny.
I actually, you know what was dumb about that one?
I like.
But that one was forced. I like the Jerry Rice one better than I like that one.
I mean, I like them all because I like the Jerry Rice one too.
The Jerry Rice one isn't good, but Jerry's eating rice salvages it. Like it's not good. It's dumb, but like the way that he says Jerry's eating rice, like does salvage that commercial.
Do you have to call
me
refrigerator?
Yeah, right.
That one I liked. I liked the. I agree. Overall, they were pretty underwhelming. Like there was nothing that
it was pretty bad.
That stuck out.
The commercials, like they're so bad that the stupid seal one might have been my favorite of the night, and I'm telling you, it was stupid. Like it was stupid, and I still like it was just dumb enough that I was like, okay, I at least remember it. I remember that it was for Mountain Dew. I remember something about the stupid seal commercial, and I'm also a sucker for "Kiss from a Rose." It's one of the greatest songs of all time. But like. God, they were bleak. The early one, because you always get all the movie stuff at the Super Bowl.
Oh, New Jurassic Park looks good.
What's that?
New Jurassic Park looks good. I'm excited for that.
I didn't think it looked very good.
I love. Well, I love. I love the dinosaur movies. These things.
The first Jurassic World was great. The second,
10 years ago,
when they first brought Chris Pratt and what's her face, Bryce Dallas Howard in, great. Then the next one.
The next two were not good. Good.
The third one was almost unforgivable.
The third one, well, they still had Sam Neill and Laura Dern in it, so I was, The second one was the worst.
The second one was dreadful, but they didn't. They're taking it away from what works. Part of what which
is why I'm excited because I feel like it looks like they're restarting almost. Obviously, it's really there's not much time between the last one and this one, but it feels like it's got like an entire new cast and new. It looks like a new island almost. Like,
yeah, I don't know, dog.
I am gonna give the benefit of the doubt as long as I possibly can.
I've always gone to see all the dinosaur movies when they've come out in theaters. This one might be the first one that I say, I'll pass. I have no idea what the new Lilo and Stitch is. I don't know if. But like that was cute at least with Stitch running all over the field. Like I'd be like, that's cute. But is this?
It's a live action Lilo and Stitch.
What? How? It can't be a live action. I get it, The Lion King wasn't really a live. Is there a person playing Lilo?
Yeah, there's it's gonna be some kid. I don't know who, but
okay.
I gotta find the.
These not one of them has registered with me. Not one of them, as they've redone all of their own movies. They've all come off just like cheap ploys. If somebody wants to tell me that one of these remade movies has been actually great and I've just missed it, then...
Ooh, Hannah Waddingham is in the...
I do enjoy Hannah Waddingham. I'm a fan. But
in the Lilo and Stitch.
None of these, they've all just come off... I remember going to see the Dumbo one in the theaters because it felt like that was good for the kids. I think we were at the beach and it might have rained that day, and like I wasn't feeling it at all. I was just like, there is no point to this. I get the best, the most favorable view that you can have of them is that like you're trying to introduce your kids to stories that you've cared about over the years. And maybe that's working and registering with certain people. And I don't know, maybe the Little Mermaid one with Chloe Bailey was great. I don't know. But none of them have registered.
Yeah,
with
none of them have really. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe this one will be great.
Sure, maybe. I guess. I didn't even see what was the Will Smith Aladdin one? I didn't even see that one.
I haven't really. Yeah, none of them have.
Just none of them have made me say like that's something I need to spend time with. And like the Lilo and Stitch commercial was cute, but there was I would kind of be like, just do another Lilo and Stitch, like just make another movie. Like it's a cute story. I liked it when it came, like when my kid, whatever.
Did you like the Willem Dafoe and Kevin
Yeah.
McAllister's mom playing pickleball?
Yeah. No. That was one where it was all premise. Like the premise is get it, they're old and yet they're good at pickleball, but there was no actual funny in it. Like the premise.
Well, they were hustling everybody.
This happens a lot with Saturday Night Live sketches where like they have a premise but they don't really have a sketch. That's what that commercial was. Like the premise was good. Older people playing pickleball.
Oh, the
kicking everybody's ass.
The Bud Light, like Post Malone and Shane Gillis and Peyton Manning was in it.
I don't even remember it.
They were in the. Oh, sure, I didn't mean to play it, but they're sitting in the cul-de-sac and they're drinking Bud Light, and then they pull out the long tray. He's got a tractor with a long cooler of Bud Light. Did you just not get this commercial?
I don't.
This one was on Twitter before even the Super Bowl.
Does not make it. I had to watch on Tubi. I don't know if this had to change anything that I had to watch on Tubi.
Maybe it did then. I don't know.
They didn't even put it through the Fox Sports app. They purposely made you download.
Yeah, I know.
Tubi.
I went through the Fox Sports apps first, and then
freaking annoying, man. Like, look.
No, but they're shooting Bud Lights at everybody in the cul-de-sac, and then it becomes a whole block party.
If you say so.
Drinking Bud Light.
I'm sure. I don't even remember.
And then Shane Gillis has a tractor with a smoker on it.
Okay. Like.
I guess you did not see this one. It was good.
I don't remember.
It was good.
The commercial stunk. It was terrible.
Here we go. Yeah, Century of the Uber Eats. That's what the McConaughey thing was.
Yeah. I know that, and it was fine. Like among them, it was fine. It was just fine. And by the way, they missed. You know what really bothered me about that one is the Peyton Manning thing was there. It was chicken parm. Like they had that in front of them, and then they instead tried to force the Omaha steaks. Like that was. It was forced.
I think it's supposed to be stupid.
I know, but there's a difference between stupid and like clever, and playing up that like Peyton Manning. The premise is football's trying to sell you food. Well, hello. But I guess they didn't want to do that because it was like promoting the chicken parm thing was like a nationwide commercial, I think. And so they didn't want to, but like Omaha Steaks is a different brand too. I don't know what that was, but they threw that into double coverage when there was someone wide open in the flat.
Did you like the Hellman's one? The Billy Crystal and when Sally met Hellman's.
No.
That's what they called it.
No, that, you know what, that one also had
then Sydney Sweeney was at the end.
I saw it.
So that was number one, actually.
I don't remember who it was that tweeted this, but somebody said, this commercial is awful. If anyone ever used mayonnaise at Katz's Deli, they should be executed. And that person has a point. A serious point. No, it was just fine.
People liked the Harrison Ford Jeep one, but that happened so late in the game that I was kind of out of it at that point.
I thought it was. By the way, as bad as
too long.
As bad as the commercials were,
it's like a movie.
There was nothing worse than the Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt soliloquies in the pregame that said nothing. 5 minutes of Brad Pitt did a 5-minute thing about the huddle. It meant there was nothing there. Nothing.
Should he have not done it?
I'm sure he got paid. I'm sure he's I'm not going to knock him, but there was nothing there. It was 5 minutes of so nothing then. We're It's the thing. Did you ever watch Detroiters?
No, I watched Detroiters.
God.
I do need to watch Detroiters. There was the late in the
there was the Totino's pizza roll one with Sam and Tim, which was fine. But even for them, it was kind of eh.
Oh, that's right. I did like the Ram Trucks one. Glenn Powell was Goldilocks, and
I don't remember this one at all.
And the three Goldilocks and the three trucks, and he was
okay.
He was telling. It was like he was reading a bedtime story to kids, and then he was like, actually, it was a really handsome, cool guy.
All right.
And then he started pretending he was doing a bunch of stuff. I don't remember. And driving a Ram truck doing it.
Was it later in the game? Because
no, this was early.
I don't remember.
Maybe it was two. Maybe two.
Maybe.
Yeah, they blacked out some of the good commercials.
Dude, those Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise things just were giant nothings.
He defeats a dragon because he's driving a Ram truck.
I don't know. As far as the halftime show is concerned, the way that you think Twitter responded to the halftime show will tell you who it is that you follow on Twitter. That's all it will tell you. There's so many people that are like, see, America hated the halftime show because on their Twitter timelines, people didn't like the halftime show. Because they were never going to like the halftime show.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
I think it was good. We'll start with the word. I used the word broad appeal, and I wanted to go there.
Yeah, I mean,
it is the halftime show that probably has the least broad appeal of any halftime show since they started doing this, the mega productions in the 90s. But that's okay because, if something in broad appeal is a 10, this wasn't a 4. This was still a 7. There was a lot of appeal for Kendrick Lamar. It's just not the way that there's sort of everyone has appeal for other artists.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I don't know that there's ever been a 10. Maybe Prince and Michael Jackson might be the only two. Beyonce, I don't know. Beyonce at that point in her career. Now people have gone out of their way to try to not like Beyonce because hey, we're doing racism again. It's a cool thing we're doing in our country. But I don't know who else would have. I don't know who would have. I don't think you could have a 10 if they announced Taylor Swift got booed on the screen yesterday. I don't know that. We're just at a place where there wouldn't
Everyone
be a 10.
wants to be a hater.
There's a lot of appeal for Kendrick Lamar. He's very good. Everybody, if you have a brain, you can recognize that. Or if you're just not, if you're willing to do the bit where you look past, is this for me? And there are a lot of people that the answer is just, this wasn't for me. And if you went and if you just said, hey, dude, it just wasn't for me, I'd respect that. The people that are like, oh, this is abysmal. This sucks. You're just announcing to the world, I know nothing about this topic. Now, within that context, the audio wasn't great. They did seem to have an audio problem. I know a thing or two about audio problems. I understand, when somebody will talk to me about my call of a game, I'll go back and listen. I'll be like, wow, the audio was not great for that. I can understand why you think that, maybe it wasn't a great call because the audio wasn't. The audio was a little off.
Yeah, I feel like I noticed that live too. Someone posted the full performance on Twitter later, and it sounded a lot better when I rewatched it.
Okay, all right.
But
yeah, it was a little off live. And then I'll add in, even for people that like Kendrick, it wasn't his most.
Right. It was a lot of stuff from the album that came out 3 months ago in November,
which is really good.
Yeah,
and I don't blame him, but. It didn't. I think what we like is the idea of a sing along, kind of almost like a jukebox in the halftime show, and you kind of got that at the end with Not Like Us, and then everybody yelling out Mustard for TV off. But one, it's the difficulty of doing a true rap show,
right?
And we use hip hop, This was real, like, on the rap side. These are not sing-along songs. The way that, like, the Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg halftime show was legit sing-along. Everybody in the stadium could sing along to California Love and could sing along to Lose Yourself and all of those things. You weren't really going to get that from this show. And so that, to me, I said this about the Jennifer Lopez-Shakira show. Like, everybody always thinks fondly of it because those two people are very attractive, and they were being attractive, and so everybody's like, wow, look how attractive they were. And what was the famous Michael Wilbon tweeted out Lordy, and then that became like an internet meme for somebody being horny. Like, Lordy. I said the same thing then. The songs weren't iconic. They were songs you remembered, but they were, like, Jennifer Lopez does not have an iconic song. Like a song that you and all of your friends, like, have memories with. The most iconic song from the two of them was Hips Don't Lie, which wasn't Jennifer Lopez's song. That was what was a little missing. Was it, of course, Not Like Us is iconic, obviously. But short of that was kind of the only one. That was the only iconic song that you got during the halftime show. And so if you separated the people that it just wasn't for, like, if their opinions are irrelevant, it's not for them. But even within the people that it was for, I think that there are areas where you could say,
yeah, sure, he should have played this hit and that hit.
Yeah, all right.
Whatever, but like, I don't know, because I'm someone that pretty much grew up with Kendrick Lamar.
I understand that.
Like, and so I know all his music, and I like when they went from Luther to All Your Stars with SZA. I thought that was awesome, and I loved that. And obviously he played Humble still and DNA. So I don't know. I thought I was very happy with it. And the production quality of it, like the choreography was great.
Yeah, I thought it
and
looked,
the cut between,
I thought it looked good.
Serena Williams dancing.
The Serena Williams thing I thought
Samuel
was incredible.
Jackson.
I wish I was more into the Samuel L. Jackson thing. It just, like, I think that the first time it was cool. I don't think they needed to keep going back to it.
Felt like they only did it like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's only a 12-minute show.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot in that context. I don't know. That part of it didn't hit for me the same way, but I think it was a good show. I don't think,
and it is Kendrick Lamar. He's gonna send some sort of message as subliminal or direct
that's his deal.
Yeah.
And for if you're into Kendrick Lamar, you probably got everything that you wanted.
Yeah.
If you're a Turbo fan, I think even if you're a fan, and I would say I'm a fan.
I was watching with my best friend, and he is like a mess. Like, he's seen Kendrick live like 3 times already, and he loved it. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think if that's who you are, then there was everything to like about it. I'm not trying to say it definitely wasn't bad. There definitely wasn't that. I think there is a fair question of what should a Super Bowl halftime show be, and my gut tells me that you should try to have a broader appeal for a Super Bowl halftime show. That's my
probably
gut.
Fair.
But I also get that we've never been more polarized as a society than we are in the moment. So easier said than done to try to come up with broad appeal for a Super Bowl halftime show. Like all of the people, like, the next year is in San Francisco, they should do Metallica. No, they're not doing Metallica, guy. Like,
they're just gonna do whoever is probably the hottest next summer.
I don't know. I said this there in the column. I'm like, my gut tells me that maybe they.
I bet it's Post Malone.
And Post Malone would make a lot of sense. He's of that ilk. It could be one of the current, like, kind of female pop,
right? Like Sabrina Carpenter,
Chappell Roan, Billie Eilish type, somebody like that. They're obviously having a huge year. I also think that, like, I think all of Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, and Megan Thee Stallion are supposed to have albums come out this year. So to maybe follow it up to have, like, the first female rapper to headline a Super Bowl halftime show might be something that they would try to look to do. It's tough for old white people to be like, this isn't for me. It's okay. Like,
maybe it'll be Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Maybe.
I don't think those days. I don't think they're going back to that. I think the NFL got exactly out of this what they wanted, which is, like, truly viral moments and giant buzz on social, and you're never gonna get that from Metallica. which doesn't mean Metallica isn't great. I love Metallica.
Or it'll be Creed. Maybe they'll do Creed.
I don't think they're going to do that, but they do have the most iconic halftime show.
John Little Rock said AC/DC.
I love AC/DC. It ain't going to be AC/DC. I'm the biggest. AC/DC is maybe one of my 5 favorite acts of all time. It ain't going to be AC/DC. They're just not going back to that. They are not if it's not for you, they'll live.
John was not thrilled with it. He said it's a shame for Kendrick. He's a masterclass in his genre, but that wasn't a good platform for his art to shine.
I don't know about that.
I think
the
Super Bowl halftime show in terms of because he was trying to play some of his real rapping.
Right. I think the art shined. I just don't know that.
But yeah, it wasn't going to be accepted by.
For certain people, they were never going to listen. They were never going to have any. This is not for me. That's the way it goes. I mean, it is. And the NFL is just saying, okay, cool. It's not for you. Now what? They're not meeting you in the middle. They're not saying oh, well, let's change that moving forward. They're saying, okay. Now what do we do?
Ed Reed had the best tweet. He said, right at halftime, he said the lights are definitely going out.
A bunch of people were doing that bit. I don't know if even that would have saved the Kansas City Chiefs last night. All right, I think that's all the ancillary Super Bowl stuff. We come back in. Let's talk a little lacrosse. Hopkins is off to a 3-0 start to the season after they beat Georgetown on Saturday. Matt Collison will join us next. It's a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
You're going to love February at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Sweeten your Valentine's Day with a chocolate bar February 13th and 14th. Pamper yourself and your partner with Valentine's Day spa discounts February 10th through 21st. Celebrate the Year of the Snake and win a Lunar New Year luxury brand collection February 28th. Plus more ways to play, dine, and win all month. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
COVID-19 and flu viruses are circulating in Maryland. But don't worry, protection is within arm's reach. Protect your health with this year's COVID-19 and flu shots. It's safe and convenient to get them both at the same time. Flex your protection. For more information, visit health.maryland.gov/vaccines.
This message paid for by the Maryland Department of Health.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Monday edition of the program. Today's show, not brought to you by, but a reminder about our partner, the Brigance Brigade, and their winter soiree coming up February 21st at Martin's West. It is a spectacular event to help them raise money and lift up those that are fighting ALS and the people that are trying to help take care of them as well. the Brigance Brigade is wonderful in the name of the great O.J. Brigance, and this is their big event in the winter in order to raise money for their incredible work. So get to brigancebrigade.org. Get your tickets for the winter soiree, February 21st at Martin's West. Again, brigancebrigade.org. Great start to the season for Johns Hopkins lacrosse, and this guy got them off to a tremendous start in their 11-6 win over Georgetown on Saturday with the old 10-man ride buster from beyond midfield. It's a pleasure to welcome in Matt Collison, fresh off 3 goals, 2 assists in that big win on Saturday. He is with us here on GCR. Matt, it's Glenn. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Glad, of course. Good to talk to you. I remember coming on this last year actually as well, so it's good to be back. And thank you for having me back.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you. All right, so to walk me through, what's the rule in a situation like what we saw at the beginning of the game on Saturday? Where's the is it, hey, goalie's out of the cage, feel free? Are there certain guys get the green light, other guys don't get the green light? What's the rule for shooting against the 10-man ride?
Yeah. We practice that in practice a lot. We play a lot of teams who have great riding, great 10-mans. So if you're not necessarily paying attention and you hear shot from the bench, you're expected to shoot that ball, and as long as it's a shot, the attackman will back it up. We'll hopefully get it back. Right. But luckily that didn't have to be the case on Saturday. So I just listened to my guys and. Luckily it went in. We celebrated.
I apologize for not knowing off the top of my head. Is this your first long-distance goal like that, or have you done this before?
I think this is my first. I think it's my first ever distance goal like that. Actually, I don't think I've ever taken a shot at the 10-man before.
Now we all know that the most electric play in lacrosse is a pole goal, right? But
yeah,
is this? The goal is open, right? It's not like you had to sneak it into it. Is it an electric feeling? Is it a true lose your mind feeling? Or is it more like, yo, I better be able to hit the cage like this?
It's pretty sweet, honestly,
okay.
Especially that being the first play of the game. Whenever you score, you want to get up and celebrate with your boys in any scenario, right? So,
yeah.
But that being the 10-man first kind of ride of the game, they got the ball first, so that was our real first shot on net as well. So that was just a big way to start, and got the momentum shifted in our way.
Yeah, man, it was an electric moment. There's no doubt about that, and obviously part of a huge day for you and a great win. Matt,
thank you.
Talked to Peter before the season, and it's funny because he keeps things close to the vest whenever he talks to us, but.
He definitely does.
And I don't know how he is with you guys, but I respect that. That's the nature. There's a Bill Belichickian nature to Peter Milliman. But I did bring up is there a feeling of unfinished business? And I kind of expected a bit of a coach speak answer, but instead he acknowledges no, we do feel that here. We feel that based on how things have gone the last couple of years. As someone who's been through that heartbreak, how much have you guys maybe tried to use that to fuel yourselves coming into this season?
Yeah, definitely. I think the feeling of unfinished business is extremely important for us coming into the season. And here at Hopkins, where our team is, we're together 24/7. We're, in my opinion, the closest team in the country. So when you go through those hardships like that and that overtime loss last year, even the loss to Notre Dame my freshman year when we were right there as well, right? You see those seniors in tears after the game. You see your brothers kind of leaving for the last time, and it's a lesson you're going to play with them as teammates, right? So it's, you never forget the look on their faces and the conversations afterwards and the camaraderie that they brought to the program. So every year is unfinished business until we get that job done, right? So I think that's extremely important for us to remember and think about, but also kind of pave our own path and kind of have our own goals and our own priorities at heart as well.
Matt Collison from Hopkins is with us on GCR, and I acknowledge that every season, every team is different. I understand all those things, but what have you learned from going through that maybe you now know? Okay, this as good as we were, as good as we've been. It's going to take this. What have you learned about how you get over that hump and do take that next step to get back to championship weekend?
Yeah. I think the hottest team at the right time wins, right? If you're peaking at the right time, you're going to have the best chance to win. And honestly, just staying healthy, as simple as it sounds, right? It's easy to say, but it's a long season. Guys get banged up. Yeah. Practices are tough. The fall's tough. Lifts are tough. Everything about this life is tough, right? So we kind of just have to embrace that suck as a program, as 58 guys and 5 coaches. And we really do love that grind, and all we're looking forward to is just the next game, right? It's a 1-game season, as the coaches like to say. We're not 3-0, we're 0-0, looking for that first win.
I appreciate that, man. He's Matt Collison. He's with us here on GCR. Matt, so you guys come into look. This is Hopkins lacrosse. You don't back off on the schedule. Like, that's the way that it works. You come in at Denver, then a difficult Tuesday night against Hopkins and Georgetown. I know that this doesn't, a 3-0 start doesn't mean that you've won the league, but how good does it feel that this team is playing as well as it is this early in the season?
Yeah. The coaches like to brush it off and just say next one, obviously, right? But as a team, we know that first week is huge for us. Those 3 games against 3 ranked opponents are massive. And in my time here, we've always came out of that 2-1, right? We never really got the job done for the first 3. So having those 3 under our belt, knowing that we can kind of go through a gauntlet like that with 3 games in a week is it's not only big in just like the win column department, but just for our own self-confidence, our own team. Like, we know we can grind out a win against Towson on a Tuesday and then show up on Saturday and really put it together against a team like Georgetown as well.
I mean, I think that probably bodes well for what it takes to win in the tournament, right? Like the quick turnaround and, one team after another. This is the type of gauntlet that you want to go through to learn what it's going to be like at the end of the year, right?
Exactly. Everything we do is a learning experience, and all we want to do is find out the most information we can about this group and what we can go through together.
Tell me about your new goalie, because this is there's certainly quite the storyline coming into Saturday's game at Loyola. What have you learned about Luke Stout? How has he impressed you as he's taken over this year?
Yeah, Stouter's a great guy. He's obviously a seasoned vet. I believe he started 3 years at Loyola, if my memory serves me correct. Hell of a player, great teammate, just unreal guy. Communicates with the defense well. Communicates with everyone very well. I don't have enough good things to say about Stout. He's really just he's a veteran. He's a pro. He acts like a professional. So. We're very thankful to have him on our team. And, leading into the weekend, I kind of was messing around with him this morning at practice, telling him how it's his homecoming. And, he was very quick to brush that off, saying, it's just another team.
Yeah.
So that kind of speaks towards, what Stout does and how he kind of approaches the game. He's obviously he's a goalie, so he's got some weird things going on up top. But
yeah.
But no, seriously, he's a professional, so we're very lucky to have him.
Truer words never spoken, by the way. Like it requires that in order to be able to.
It certainly does. It certainly does. I don't know why this guy likes seeing the shots he sees every day.
I compare it's like being a closer in baseball. Like, you have to be a certain amount of psychopath in order to be able to do it.
Most definitely.
I was wondering if maybe somebody was in charge of jeering him this week to try to prepare for the Loyola students, so we'll probably want to get after him on Saturday.
Those students they show up. They show up in big numbers, and they love to let us know that we're at their place. But all respect to them. Obviously, Loyola is a great program. Coach Toomey has done a phenomenal job over there and creating that culture. So. We're just excited for that opportunity to come to us again. I haven't played there since my freshman year, right? So that was definitely an experience.
Well, right, and they got you in that one, obviously. So I'm
They
sure
did, yeah.
you're feeling a little bit of that. Can you, as someone who's not from here, Matt, what of being a part? And I know that nothing compares to Maryland Hopkins. I realize it is the peak of the sport, but all of these, Towson, Loyola. It's just a little bit different than it might be elsewhere in the sport. What has it meant to you for someone maybe that wasn't going to those games as a kid necessarily, but has been now a part of it for a few years? What has it meant to you to be a part of these incredible rivalry games?
Yeah, it means everything, right? As soon as you come to Hopkins, as soon as you come to Baltimore in general, you're taught about the history of lacrosse and the rivalries and the important games, the championships that have flown through here, almost year after year, right? So. It's honestly been the best experience of my life being able to participate in those rivalry games, and I've been very fortunate and lucky to be able to contribute in those as well. But it's been very surreal, and I'm sure I'm not going to really set it until I graduate, right? So, but it's been awesome, and getting the chance to play against great players every week. up and down our entire schedule is also just yet another privilege we get.
I get that entirely. You know, a lot was made about what you guys had lost offensively coming into the season, and look, you know, some great players that were gone. But did you kind of put it on yourself? Like, I want to be more of an alpha this year. Like, I want to be more of a guy. We obviously we've seen some big games. Was there a feeling of that for you going into this season?
Yeah. Obviously, from the outside looking in, one would assume that. But really, with our offensive change and Coach Millman's new offense coming in, it's anyone's game at any game, right? Like, I'm not really trying to do too much. I'm honestly trying to play the exact same way and have the exact same role that I had last year, and really just play, you know, 6 guys up and down the lineup every set that we can, every shot that we get. Is not trying to do too much, right? If I start trying to force it like that, then, you know, other guys can't get in the flow of the game, and I'm doing too much and then giving the ball away, and it just gets a chain reaction like that. And I'd rather go 0 for 0 and have 0 shots on net and we win, and our guys play unreal, than score 4 goals and we lose and guys were in the flow of the game.
It's always like that question. Are you better off having an alpha, or are you better off like having that in any game it can be anybody's day on that particular day?
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, if you have, you know, 6 guys and, you know, the guys who are going to play are all on the same page and we're buzzing together and, you know, we have a phenomenal relationship that we do.
Yeah.
I think that's better than just having one alpha. Obviously, having a guy is big. That definitely helps. It puts a lot of pressure on the defense. But when 6 guys put equal amounts of pressure on every single defender, right? Like that becomes even tougher to cover. So. I'm a big fan of the six deep.
I dig that, man. I dig that. Look, the season that you guys are having. I know we're only 3 games in, a long way from the road, but it is an awful lot of fun to watch you play and the way that you guys are together at the moment. And since I'll be calling the game on Saturday, it'll be great to be able to see it in person for the first time this season.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. I didn't know you were calling that game.
Yeah, so please let everybody know. We do a home broadcast at Loyola. Not everybody loves that. So, like, Maryland had an overtime game winner this weekend, and the Maryland fans were like, yo, why aren't you? I'm like, yeah, because I work. Loyola pays me. Like, I'm going to react that way. But I love the sport, and that's why we want to have these conversations, is because I love getting to know guys like you and what makes you tick. Matt, I appreciate you spending the time with us as always, dude. Can you remind everybody, like, on social, anywhere that anybody could be following you?
Yeah, I think my Instagram is Matt Collison _ or something like that.
I'll double check. Right now. I'll double check. Yeah. Clearly, it's a priority for you. I understand.
Yeah. I don't really know, but
yes, Matt Collison _
name.
That's the one. And you'll be able to tell he's the guy from Toronto. By the way, are you a big Blue Jays fan, or I remember we talked about hockey the last time. I don't remember if we talked about. Are you a Blue Jays fan?
I'm actually a Red Sox fan. My family's a big Boston sports fan.
Okay.
Yeah, well, my grandfather's from the East Coast of Canada, from Nova Scotia. And all the Nova Scotians out there really like Boston sports.
Got it.
It's a historical thing. So I grew up a Red Sox, Bruins, and yeah.
No, we kind of have to hate that. I'm sorry. That's just the way that it goes around.
I know.
But I can respect it. It's a family thing. Matt, congratulations on an awesome start to the season. Looking forward to doing this again as you guys make your move towards May, all right? Appreciate you taking the time for us, dude.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on again.
Absolutely, man. Matt Collison from Johns Hopkins had a great day on Saturday in their win over Georgetown. And, an awesome start to the season for Hopkins. They're 3-0, and they head to Loyola on Saturday. Look, it was a hell of a game, Loyola and Maryland on Saturday. It wasn't a shootout. It wasn't a 15-14, but a hell of a game. Battle, close. Loyola opens up a 3-goal lead to start the fourth quarter, and boy, maybe they're going to do it again. Then Maryland battles back, takes the lead. Loyola scores Keenan Everhart with 2 seconds left in regulation in order to force overtime. And like just a great game, just a truly great game. Michael Keegan scores in overtime for Maryland, and yes, some Maryland fans very disappointed that I wasn't more animated.
Now you know what it feels like to be Joe Buck. I mean,
look, man. Well, he's doing a national. This is a much different thing. If I was doing a neutral broadcast, I would be animated. I would be. for either team that scored. And like if this was the way, if ESPN was the one that was paying me to do the broadcast, then you're animated for everybody, right? Like everything that's exciting and big, you react that way because you're neutral. As a couple people have pointed out, there's hilarity to the idea that like Maryland fans think I'm anti-Maryland. There's like it's genuinely funny for anybody that knows me.
Can't believe you hate Maryland.
Yeah, right. Like,
God,
what a typical Loyola Maryland hater. Hilarious.
Everyone
Like
knows Loyola, and Loyola goes out of their way to hate Maryland as well.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
well, some people do. Like there are people that are connected to like other schools in this state that I don't want to call it small man syndrome. It's just more like little brother, I think is what it is. Like they hate the fact that Maryland gets all the attention and they don't get as much. And look, Spiro, we have fun with Spiro with that over the years. Like that exists. Just hilarious that people think it's me. Like, genuinely funny that someone that doesn't know, maybe doesn't listen, whatever, would think that that's what I'm reflecting. No, I'm reflecting the fact.
You should just let out
yeah, right?
Damn it!
Loyola side.
Maryland won.
It's a complicated thing, man. Like it's a conversation that I've tried having with. It's funny. Steve Stoffberg, who's Maryland's play-by-play guy, just wanted to come watch the game on Saturday. They don't do radio broadcasts for road games. And so he was sitting in the booth with us, and Stoff's my guy. I love Stoff. And we were having that conversation of like, what does this like there are places where they say, hey, we need you to be more animated for everyone's plays because remember, these teams all share these clips on social media and we want the clips to sound big.
Mm-hmm.
I have not been given those instructions at Loyola. I don't know if that might be different if it was a Patriot League game where the conference would be more interested in that. I don't know. No one's ever told me that. And so the people that I answer to kind of want the broadcast to sound like a home broadcast. But I think there is a relevant conversation to be had. Like, this was a big game on Saturday. I get it. Like, in the sport, it was one of the biggest games. I know Hopkins-Georgetown was probably a bit bigger of a game, maybe, because I think there are bigger title hopes for both teams than there were, like, for Loyola. But it was one of the biggest games in the sport on Saturday, and I could see where someone who just said, I want to tune in, would want a more neutral-sounding broadcast. But this is the only broadcast, TV broadcast option. So I think it's a complicated and it's an interesting conversation. I think people think that I'm like mad. I'm not mad at all. I get it. I understand why Maryland fans are like, dude, we just scored an overtime. We just want a thrilling game in overtime. We kind of like the thing that we're listening to reflect that and to sound excited about it. I understand that. I don't know what the answer to this question is. Like, it's something that I thought about. Like, should we have that conversation? Like, should we talk about that? Like, is it better for the sport if we do a more neutral broadcast? Maybe, but again, the sport's not paying me. Loyola's paying me. On the flip side, people get genuinely angry when, like, a team hits a walk-off home run against your team and the broadcaster sounds almost excited about it because they're trying to, like, recognize the moment.
Yeah.
And animate the moment, and then you're a fan of the team that just lost, and you're like, dude, what the F? Why do you sound like... There's no correct answer to any of this. The only correct answer is, like, make sure you get the call right. Like, make sure you do that. So that is a priority for me in those moments. Make sure you get your facts correct. And make sure the people that are paying your checks are happy. That's my priority as a broadcaster. Like, the first text I got on Sunday morning was from my boss, if you will, at Loyola, who was laughing at and if I told you what he said that I should say, which I will choose not to. Although I did say to him, like, do you want me to say that to the Hopkins fans next week? Do you want me to just say? I could write it down. I don't want to say it out loud because somebody might figure out who the person is. It was like, they said that was what.
Like, okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to not do that. I'm going to try to explain it. And if people don't get it, they don't get it.
Just say that on the broadcast.
I think if you go back and listen to my call of Keenan Everhart's tying goal, you'll hear a lot of excitement. Because it was stunning. It was incredible. Remy Reynolds scored a pole goal in the fourth quarter for Loyola. We were pretty fired up about that. But Maryland's winner, not so much. Not so much because, again, I am employed by Loyola. That's who's paying me to do the games. Loyola. Not the Patriot League. Not ESPN. Loyola. Hell of a game, though. Hell of a game. And, while maybe Maryland was not overly impressive, I think there is something that is. You can call you.
I
don't know why
I was. But yeah, I wish I had yelled at you then for when what was it, Towson last year when Loyola, when Loyola
overtime.
beat.
Yeah,
Towson, I should have been like, why are you so mean to Towson after?
I mean, like, this is just the way that it goes, dude. If Towson hires me, then they got their guy.
Also to the point that was just an incredible goal the way Towson lost in that game.
It was, and that's somebody's argument would be any overtime game winner in lacrosse is such an electric moment that it should sound like that. This was not, as overtime game winners go, I mean, like, this was a quick release shot, but this wasn't like some sort of spectacular, otherworldly goal necessarily. Like, it was made a move, got topside, scored. There's a fascinating question to be had about what these things should sound like, and I don't know the answer. I'm not mad at anyone who's a Maryland fan that was like, dude, this sucked. Like, I'm not mad. I understand how you feel. If I was a neutral party, I might want it to sound different, but I'm not. I'm not a neutral party. I'm employed by Loyola, and so that's what it sounds like, and that you get that reaction. But it's a fascinating conversation, and I'm trying to think if there's any parallel to this. Like, is there any other sport where it would be you'd have a big game and there wouldn't be a neutral broadcast?
Well, I mean, and it's
I guess in baseball, like they are big regular season games in baseball.
Yeah. Well, we don't. Someone put together.
But you get a home broadcast
last season or 2 seasons ago, where they were like, someone pulled all the big moments of the Orioles season, but they pulled the road broadcast. Yeah. And it was like, I don't know. It was like the one that always stuck out was like the Pirates calling Cedric Mullins cycle, and they were like, wow.
Yeah, well, there's an amount of showing.
Well, they did it again.
Like, it's something that we do now, like in football, like after an NFL game where you win, and like it's a common radio bit now to like listen to the radio highlights of the losing team.
Paul Allen, that's the
Minnesota,
Minnesota guy, and he's like, no,
yeah,
those are
that's become a bit,
which is the way. If they should have shared the clip of you on Saturday, and they should have been like, wow, this Loyola broadcaster, man, he's bummed out. Like, if they could have just changed the whole.
They actually had a student radio broadcast of the game. They could have pulled audio from that to put it on top of that for sharing it out on social media if they wanted their clip. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. I'm telling you, I think there is a legitimate conversation here. It's just context that I'm trying to give about why Maryland fans didn't like my call of their game-winning goal, because I work for the team they were playing against.
Because you hate Maryland.
Yes, everybody knows that about me. I hate Maryland. All right, joining us now, of course, our friend from the Big Bad Morning Show, 105.7 The Fan, ConcreteLocks.com. He's our buddy Jeremy Conn, and he's with us once again here on GCR. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
What's up, man? It's been a crazy week.
Yeah, what's going on with your dog, dude? What's happening there?
So, I mean, long and short of it is he got into the trash and ate a bunch of crab shells, and dogs can't digest that, so he was throwing up like this vomit that just smelled like the world ended. I mean, it was just the nastiest smell you could possibly imagine. So once we took him to the vet, they obviously opened him up and tried to remove everything, but now we're worried about he just went back in for another emergency surgery, and I don't know if we're approaching $30,000 or what now in vet bills, but it's part of the family, and
right.
My son's beating himself up and he's blaming himself for it. And it's rough. And then I walk in home right now, and now I got water coming through my ceiling, so couldn't get any better.
Well,
yeah,
it's a great time to talk, man. Like, life is good.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally like, I finally got a plumber on the phone, somebody that's friends with me on Facebook, and my wife's literally talking to him on the other line as I'm just, going with you guys.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah, I understand that, pal.
I did watch your documentary, though, that you told me to watch, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, did you really enjoy it? I got a fight with Paul Valley because he's trying to tell me about how the O.J. Simpson documentary is better than that. I'm like, you're out of your mind, brother. Like, this is one of the...
I mean, because, like, you got to understand the levels to this thing, though. Like, I mean, it's like, all right, there's the goalpost, and then you move it again, and then you move it again, and you're like, hold on, he did what? Who did this? The guy from wait a minute. He's also an impersonator? Like, it was all over the place for me.
Dude,
so I really enjoyed it.
It is one of the wildest rides that I've ever taken. For anybody that hasn't watched Kings of Tupelo on Netflix, there are few things that I have ever consumed that I feel more strongly about than this. Like, it is one of the most incredible things I have ever watched. Ever. Like, yeah. I've had multiple people now tell me that they had to stop at one point through just to, like, compose themselves and made sure they understood everything that was happening. And that was exactly after 2 episodes. I couldn't just go into the 3rd episode. I had to stop. I had to watch something else for a little while and just, like, take accounting of everything that was going on within this documentary. It's unbelievable. You have to watch this film.
Yeah. And you know what's weird is I don't think there's anybody with redeeming qualities out of any of the characters. Like,
does anyone
none
have
of them.
redeeming
Like, they all
qualities?
seem
that's a great question, right?
Like even the wife, like if you look at the wife, you're going, wait a minute, she was cheating on him with who?
Yeah.
And she was doing, and then you get to the brother, and was he, all these things with his wife, and blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden you start hearing all these other people talking, like, who's this congressman? Oh, he's denying everything, even though they're showing them pictures of this.
Right.
I mean, it's just unbelievable.
I think you might be right that there's not a single redeemable person. But that was kind of what we loved about Tiger King, right? Like, to me, Tiger King is the easiest parallel because that's, I think, at this point, the wildest thing that we had seen. And I've said that if this had come out during the pandemic, the nation would have shut down for Kings of Tupelo as well. It's that wild.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing missing in Kings of Tupelo that Tiger King had was a eulogy talking about someone's nutsack.
Yes,
so,
yes, but it did have feet stuff. It did have...
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing. That I forgot about that already.
Yeah.
Jesus. Weirdo in the feet and talking about, look at those toes.
And they went for it. Like, they didn't back off of it at all. Like, we all were grossed out. Like, everybody watching was just like, oh, why? But in the end, I get it. Like, they needed to go there. Oh, it had everything, man. Please watch Kings of Tupelo. I'm still not going to watch your thing. I can't do it to myself. I just can't do it to myself.
Do you want me to tell you what happens?
Not here. Like, let's talk about it off air. Let's talk about it off. The way that you set it up for me, I don't know that I can put myself through it. I don't know that I have.
Yeah, I mean, it's much like when you're watching Kings of Tupelo, where it just keeps going further and further. You're like, how much darker can this get?
Yeah.
Like, it just, and it hits you in the feels pretty hard, where you just feel bad for everyone involved.
I don't know how I have that. All right, let's semi talk about sports briefly. Is Jalen Hurts? I'm going to do the bit. Is Jalen Hurts elite?
I mean, look, I think he's good. I don't know. Like, we get into this whole elite thing. I take him on my team. I still think there's questions about him passing the ball at times, but and reading defenses. But I got to say, I mean, he looked amazing yesterday. The whole damn team did. And I think the defensive efficiency in the first half was on par with, I think, the 85 Bears or something ridiculous. So, I mean, that was domination last night, regardless of what that score was. So you can't take that away from him. So now he's got that one notch in his belt that he's got a Super Bowl. So if you want to call somebody elite, I think having one of those is a good place to start. But, I still think there's 4 elite guys in the league right now, and maybe a few more on the way. And then we'll go from there and see what else is happening, if anybody else can get into that conversation.
That's sort of where I am, but I think right now if someone tried to say that Jalen Hurts is 5th, I would say, okay, yeah, he's got that argument. And I don't know what the line is between how much of this is about Jalen Hurts and how much of it is just about don't screw up a good thing. That, like, if any quarterback worth a salt was handed the circumstances that he was handed, they better deliver exactly what it is that he delivered. Because I do think that that's the story of the Eagles, is they put together one of the most complete rosters we've ever seen in the history of football. I don't know where the line is, and I don't want it to be disrespectful to Jalen Hurts because he did do it. Like, he did get the job done. But I do think that at least a good part of the story was what he was given to work with, and that, like, you almost better do this if you're given that to work with.
Yeah, and the other thing with, like, Jalen Hurts, too, is, I mean, you talked about the roster and everything they have there. It's one of the best rosters in the league, and getting it done. But, people had Jalen Hurts in that conversation before when they went to the Super Bowl last time, and then he has a down year, and it's like, oh, he's not in the conversation anymore. So we always have some recency bias and knee-jerk reactions. It's like everybody talking about after the Super Bowl. Does this ruin Pat Mahomes' legacy? How? I'm tired of people saying things ruin someone's legacy because they got to the pinnacle. Yeah.
We're just trying to find, and that really is what it is. It was a crappy Super Bowl. We don't really have topics. Like, there's just not a lot to go to. Eagles were better team, won. Like that's what there is. That's the list of things that we have to discuss afterwards. So let's just throw anything out there. No, not only does it not affect Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs are definitively still the team to beat next year because they have Patrick Mahomes. Now, does that mean they're going to win? Of course not. But, like, to me, they deserve to be the betting favorites because they're the team that has the guy that's always in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you look at his career, it's hard to poke any holes in it at all with all of his accomplishments already. I mean, we were kind of talking about it. Rob said this morning that he can't, like, well, I don't say he can't be, like, right now Tom Brady's still in the front end of that GOAT conversation, which is factually true for most people, but it's like he has so much time to catch all of this stuff and even maybe even surpass him, as crazy as that sounds.
Where are you with the like all the ancillary stuff? Like I it's so funny how many people want to show their ass and be like, "Oh, the halftime show sucked." Dude, it's just not for you. Like, it's just not for you. That's it.
That's what I said. I said it'd be like me going to see The Little Mermaid and going, "Oh, this movie's terrible."
Right.
It's not for me.
No.
Like,
that's exactly the way. It's so funny. We were just talking about how, like, none of the Disney live action movies, like, they were like, they just didn't interest us. We were just, it's not for, maybe they're great. Maybe there's going to be a live action and it's going to be, but it just doesn't interest us. It's not for us. It's okay. Yeah. Lots of things in life are for me. Kings of Tupelo was for me.
I liked it. I mean, I liked the halftime show. I was sitting here. I thought it was hysterical with the stuff with going on with Serena Williams crip walking there, and I didn't realize the guy he brought on stage was DJ Mustard. So it was kind of funny, man. Like, just watching that whole thing. I thought the choreography was great. I like the stuff that they did with the flag and the red, white, and blue. I don't know. I thought it was a decent halftime show, and for most people saying it's awful, you don't like that kind of music.
Right.
And that's fine.
That's all it is. As far as shows go, it certainly was not bad. Like, it was not bad at all.
Glenn, I literally saw two different things where somebody went, why don't we get a band from the 70s or 80s? Because we have the 90s, 2000s, and 2010s now.
Oh my God.
Why not get somebody that's relevant?
Well, and the other thing too, Jeremy, like, they've made it very clear. They know they have old white guys. They know that. Like, football doesn't have an old white guy problem. Old white guys are all watching football. They have made it abundantly clear they are purposely going after places where they're not sure that they have that group of people. They are marketing heavily towards women. Everybody hated how much Taylor Swift we dealt with the last couple of years. But there's a reason why they're doing that. They're doing that because they're trying. That's what they're going for. Like, all of the old white guys in my life are like, it's San Francisco next year. It should be Metallica. It's not going to be Metallica. It's not gonna. It's not. I love AC/DC more than anything in the world. I know they're touring this year. It's not going to be AC/DC. I
love someone that wrote, they were like, hey, why don't they put so-and-so, and they tagged this musical artist, and I know a ton about music. I mean, a ton. And I'm going, who the F is this guy? Like, you want somebody, it must have been like some small country singer that I wasn't familiar with, but I'm going, why on earth would that guy be on the stage? He's not even a big enough name.
Like, maybe they'll go the pop route. Maybe they'll do like a Chapel Roan or something, but I think there's going to be more hip-hop. I think there's going to be more. Griffin's convinced it's going to be Post Malone. Post Malone make a lot of sense. It does. They want younger.
I could see it being Ed Sheeran or something like that. Another, pop musician or something. But we'll wait and see.
They do Bruno Mars again. I love Bruno Mars.
I do love Bruno
Yeah,
Mars. Don't get me wrong. But they want younger. That's what they want. They want younger, and they want avenues where there might be fans that aren't necessarily football fans. They're looking for that. And old white guys is not the problem. They've got all the demo. Like, they know. They've got that group. Not their issue.
If you need old white guys, come to us. We have them.
There's plenty of those. Is it too soon for me to make a joke about Anthony Davis? Is it?
No, not at all, man. I just find it hilarious that they were worried about Luka's health.
Oh
and,
my God,
he doesn't
dude.
work hard enough, and yeah.
It's
and the best part is, like, did you watch Saturday when he was playing?
Oh, and when he was he was thumping his chest, and he was,
I'm here.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
For
yeah, guess where you're at now?
Right.
On the DL.
Where we expect you to be. Which is always why, like, no matter, whenever some hipster was trying to be like, no, you don't understand, both teams did well in the no, they didn't. No matter how much
didn't.
you
Not
want
even in
that
the
to
short
be the
term, they
case.
didn't.
No, because this is always going to be part of it, even if you acknowledge that Anthony Davis is a damn good player, and I do. He's a damn good player. But this is, like, this is baked into the cake with Anthony Davis. You're going to get this.
Yeah, you traded for a guy named Mr. Glass, and you're upset now that he is made of glass.
Right.
You know, it's like this happens to him every effing year, and you made a point to trade a 25-year-old generational talent for him. And then the stupid-ass owner, which this is why I can't be a Mavs fan anymore, that dumbass owner comes out and starts taking shots at Luka, basically saying,
my God.
you can't be a part of the Mavericks unless you work hard.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
Well, and then everybody on the internet dunking on him because he referenced Shaq in talking about people that work hard. Like, you get, all the hard workers like Michael Jordan and Kobe and Shaquille O'Neal, who, again, I love. Like, there is no greater Shaquille O'Neal fan than I. But if you've ever read anything, ever in your life, you know that when you talk about workers, Shaquille O'Neal ain't on that list.
Well, and the best part was, like, when the Luka trade went down, they were interviewing Shaq, and they said, hey, like, they're talking about his weight. And he goes, look, I was one of those guys, like, when the off season, that was my time. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and then I wanted to get in shape when basketball started. And because he's Shaq, he's afforded that opportunity.
Right.
But,
correct.
they were talking about Luka being 270 pounds and being overweight, and then all of a sudden I see him in a Lakers jersey, and it's like, did he take off the fat suit?
Right.
Or is it just BS? You guys, something happened, and the owner didn't like it, or the GM didn't like it, whatever, and then you guys made a knee-jerk reaction and did something that's so stupid.
I'm sorry, buddy. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's just another thing to go along with my week.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. Anything pleasant?
At least I don't have to eat a fish mold.
Oh, God. Thanks for the reminder.
I'm sorry. Now
Thanks
I'm
for
sorry.
The reminder. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, I got to do that.
Don't be sorry, Jeremy.
I don't like by the way, the fish part is probably the worst part of it. It's funny. I can't believe I'm about to say these words.
They're all pretty bad.
I was ranked. Well, no, the singing, whatever, right?
Right. The singing is that is by far.
How is the second least awful part of it the John Rollo part? How is that somehow like in comparison to somehow having to publicly get a Brazilian? Like somehow, I don't know how we're doing that. Griffin's gonna have to be in charge of figuring that out. Like somehow, I'm not saying you have to do I'm not saying that you have to be the one with the wax.
Yeah, this seems like the worst punishment ever.
Like I don't that. And by the way, I don't want to. I'm not going to say this out loud. It is an interesting circumstance for me because I keep up, right? Like I'm not. This is not going to be a Steve Carell situation in 40-year-old virgin, right? Like
Unkempt.
I don't have a lot of body hair to begin with. Like I think if everybody has ever seen me, there's a reason why I've never attempted to grow a beard. I'm not Jeremy. Like I can't grow a beard. Yeah. There's just not a lot of things happening.
Like me, my bush has a bush. So yeah,
it's not going on for me. In that order, the worst part is definitely the sardine fruitcake. Like that. Every time I look at a picture, I'm just like. I don't. You know,
I would have taken John Rollo kicks to the head.
Yes, I'm gonna have to take 4 strikes from John Rollo, and I'm not even thinking about that part of it. That part of it is just like, all right, sure, it's brutal. It's a Tuesday, right?
So,
Whatever.
like, you have a little bit. Oh my God, I'm just thinking about it. You have a little bit of everything that you don't want when you lose a bet. There's a little bit of pain.
Yes.
There's a little bit of mental anguish of what you have to eat. The bad taste that's going to be in your mouth when you think about all your senses.
Yep.
And on top of it, then you have the embarrassment that goes along with getting the Brazilian.
Yes, all of the above. It is the triple crown, isn't it? It's the triple crown of hell. By the way,
this is by far the worst punishment I've ever seen anybody go through.
You still need to do the mayo dogs before then.
I know. We got to set it up. We'll get it knocked out.
I want to try to work that around if we can, the NCAA tournament somehow. Like if we can do it so that like we can work it around that. I would like to, because we try to do some fun shows around the NCAA tournament. So I'd like to try to do that.
We'll have Jeremy come on and you guys preview every single matchup.
Yeah, we'll do the Mike Francesa bit.
You guys know everything about each team.
It's Florida State, Maryland. These two teams obviously played each other twice this year, and they got that guard.
Bobby Sora.
Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not. So, what's that? Oh, Maryland's not in the ACC anymore. God, love it. We'll do the whole thing. We'll do it all. All right. ConcreteLocks.com. What's happening this week? What's going on in your world?
Ed's on vacation, so it's Rob and I kind of picking up the pieces after the Super Bowl, getting ready for pitchers and catchers reporting, and we had Rock on this morning kind of talking about the O's. It feels like they got to make a move somewhere at some point with the logjam that they have of similar players at similar positions.
Yeah, I keep saying that, but here we are, like a week out from pitchers and catchers. I think you're right. Like I think you are, but I don't know, man.
Did I talk about it with you? I know we talked about it on our show, but about Scott Boras losing a little bit of his fastball because we still have Bregman sitting out there, not signed. And, we saw this last year.
But we saw more. Like it did feel like what happened last year led to them trying to aggressively get a few more deals done at the start of free agency this year. But to your point, the Bregman one is really interesting. Like, why aren't teams more interested in Alex Bregman? Like, what is going on there? I don't get that.
Yeah, he wants that 7-8 year deal, and I don't know he's getting it.
But so. I think the real problem is there's only so many teams to negotiate with, right? Like I know our friend Ben Verlander tweets every day about the Tigers, but like the bigger story to me of this offseason is will it be a breaking point or will baseball just continue to say we don't care? We don't. The big market teams are happy, so that's all we care about is the big market teams being happy because that is sort of the side or the subtext of everybody. The Super Bowl ends and all the baseball people want to tweet out like it's our turn now, but it's hard to be excited about a sport where there's one team that has everyone and another city that has two teams where they're willing to spend a boatload of money, and then that's it. It's hard. Maybe there's some excitement in Arizona because they got Corbin Burns, maybe, but I don't know. It's hard, and I don't know if baseball really thinks that this offseason is going to prove to be their requiem. We have to sit down. We have to figure this out. We have to have this conversation, or if they just continue to say, yeah, we don't care. We're good. The World Series got good ratings last year. We don't give a rat's ass. People want the big markets are the markets that we care about. So they're happy and we're good. I don't know what the response is internally from baseball.
I'm wondering what goes on. I mean, when the Yankees are crying about people spending too much money, something's wrong with the system.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know, man. It's deflating. It really is. It's deflating, not just because the Orioles didn't do anything, really, but it's a deflating feeling of this sport doesn't work. I know that we won't feel that way. Once the games start, we'll be happy to sit down and watch Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman play baseball. We will. I get that. But there's a deflating feeling towards this is broken. It's broken. And the baseball people always like to say, hey, all the same teams always win the Super Bowls. Right, but we genuinely believe there's a fairness to it. We genuinely believe every team had the opportunity. These teams just did it the best. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm having an existential crisis. I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah, I mean, we look at these. I don't know that we'll ever get a salary cap in Major League Baseball, but if any sport needs one, it's that sport.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, buddy. ConcreteLocks.com. @JConSports. Big Bad Morning Show 105.7 The Fan. Love you, brother. We'll talk to you next Monday. I wish, please, the best to you and your wife and the dog. I hope that.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I mean, look, that's part of our family, and we don't care what the costs are. We just want a healthy dog back, and I don't want my son living with that on his conscience.
I completely understand, man. Completely do. All right, love you, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Love you. Thanks, man.
That's Jeremy Conn. Appreciate him taking the time for us, and I didn't even think about like that depressing part of it. I got to be honest. Enough of the "it's our turn" tweets. There's not a baseball game for over a month. It's not your turn. It's not. Like, you're trying to like reclaim. First of all, it looks very little brother-ish. Like, well, obviously you guys don't care about us.
Like baseball fans saying it's our turn?
No, like the teams all sending out like it's like a collective. And lots of lots of baseball social media personalities doing it too. Like that as soon as the Super Bowl ends, you send out like some sort of now it's now we're up or something like that.
Batter up.
Like clearly you would never care about baseball until the last football game was like it feels a little brotherish. Like I know there's truth to that. Like we as a country get so soaked up in football that we kind of don't care about other things.
Well, why are you bothered by it?
But it just feels why announce that?
Well, I mean,
why
yeah, sure.
Why announce like, hey, now you're allowed to care about baseball? Why do that? And then two, it's also not. Like today's not your day. If it was your turn, what are we doing baseball-wise today?
Somebody reported, I'm sure, right, today? I don't know. No. I'm sure there's a video out there somewhere of some pitcher walking into a facility.
I believe there might be. I think the Cubs, weren't the Cubs the team that was, didn't we do this research because the Cubs and the Dodgers play in Seoul? Is that where they're playing to open the season?
That sounds right,
and
yeah.
so we saw
Tokyo. Was it Tokyo? It might be Tokyo.
Maybe it was Tokyo. But we saw that the Cubs, like the Dodgers weren't bothering to report early. Like they're just like, we're the Dodgers. We're good. But the Cubs are reporting particularly early or maybe already reported. Is that?
Cubs are reporting. Why are they not giving the date? They're reporting before any other team. Okay, but when is that? It is Tokyo, by the way, that they are opening.
Appreciate that.
First full squad workout for the Cubs is this Friday, Valentine's Day.
But pitchers and catchers reported yesterday.
Oh, there we go. All right, cool.
So that's nobody else has reported yet. There's one team that has pitchers and catchers report tomorrow. The Dodgers and oddly the Angels also report. I don't know that that's.
Well, they're trying to get ahead.
Yeah, I don't know that's going to help all that much. Unfortunately.
Well, you'll see when they're their last team standing.
That's a great point.
It's going to be because they reported on February.
And that'll
9th.
be a good story. It'll be a nice small market team winning the
like
World
Anaheim?
Series.
Well, yeah,
change. Nice small market. But no, the point being, like, it's not your turn. It's not.
We got to get to the combine first.
There are sports going on still. Like everybody's going to be watching Syracuse Towson tonight, for example. Like there are actual sports that are occurring and baseball's not. I don't know why. It's our turn stuff bugged me last night. It really did. Really bugged me. Like no, it's definitively not. You're not playing. If opening day was today, well then yes. It's not. And I'm glad it's not.
I'm seeing Angels saying that, or at least on their Twitter, it says February 12th is when their pitchers and catchers first report.
Oh, so you're saying CBS Sports is lying?
I don't want to.
What you're saying?
You know what? Yeah, I am.
Being liars.
CBS Sports liars.
Griffin Bass going to war with CBS Sports.
Reds tweeted, "Good morning, baseball is back."
Good luck ever calling the Masters.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Fighting with CBS Sports. I didn't choose for you to do that. You decided to go to war with CBS Sports. That's a choice that you made in your professional life. Like, I hate Maryland. That's the.
Good luck ever calling a Maryland game, my friend.
Right out of that. Might be the reason why we're struggling with certain things. I don't know. Might be the case. Because I hate them. Everybody knows that about me.
Should I send a mass email out to everyone? And
yeah.
I don't know what you guys have heard.
Yeah, right.
It's not true.
All right, we'll grab a break. When we come back in, we'll get a tidbit and we'll get 2-bit or wind things down for a Monday edition of GCR.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and it's our very special Best of 2024 issue. On the cover, we celebrate our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, Lamar Jackson, as Bo Smolka profiles what the quarterback means to the community beyond the football field. Also inside, we celebrate the top people, performances, and moments of the year in local sports. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always read the entire issue and find the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
Back in here. So there's this new, I don't know what's happened. Once upon a time, when I was in high school, I was a telemarketer. It's a true story. It was the best job I've ever had. I worked with...
Go back to it.
I would love to. Oh, my God, I'd do it tomorrow. So it was a group. It's probably the most money I've ever made in my life. There was I didn't know about this racket. My junior year of high school, I had a buddy who was like, oh, yeah, I'm working as a telemarketer. And I was like, that sounds awful. And he was like, no, it's pretty dope. I was like, is it? He was like, yeah, it's like 18 of us. We all work out of the same room. They're all kids from Perry Hall High School. We just call people to see if we can get them to tell us what their mortgage rate is. And if their mortgage rate is anything above 8, then we got a chance of being able to bring it down. And I was like, oh, all right. Well, I mean, it still doesn't sound like something I want to do. And then they were like, no, we all just hang out. Like, it's just like a party. Like, we're all shooting the S with each other, and we hang out for 2 hours, and then we go out. And I was like, wow, man, can you get me a gig there? And he was like, yeah, I probably could. And there was like a waiting list to try to get in because it was like the cool job. And so finally, like the start of my senior year, I was able to get in. I made the cut. And, dude, it rolled. It rolled. Because if you get hung up on, so what? Like, who cares? Hi, this is Glenn with the Mortgage Consultants. Okay, that didn't change my night at all. But if they didn't hang up, then you were like, oh, I'm in business. And it was lucrative because if some, like, it was almost like kind of like Wall Street-y. Like, if you just got them to fill out an application, even if it went nowhere, they give you like $50.
Wow. Right.
On top of they're paying you hourly. Then there were all sorts of incentives. Like it's like a sales situation, right? So like the guy that was running it, who's awesome, he was like, all right, so whoever gets the most applications tonight will get $100 in scratch-off tickets. And then you'd be like, all right, and I got to go file. Who are the people that I've tried calling before that like sounded like maybe they'd be interested? Let me call them back because I want to win those scratch-off tickets tonight. Then it'd be like, tonight, if you guys get 10 apps, we go in at 5 o'clock. And we were supposed to work till 7, maybe 7:30 is what it was. It's like if you get 10 apps by 6 o'clock, you can leave at 6, right? So then we're all like,
okay, so you'd go at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Oh, okay.
So then we'd all like dive into other people's role. Like, do you guys have any like that you think are possible? And then they'd like hand us, you make the call, and we'd agree to split. If something went through all the way and became a loan, you got 1% of the loan. Now think about how much these loans are worth. These loans are six figures.
Yeah.
So you're getting thousands of dollars, and you're in high school. You get a $1,500 bonus, you might as well be a millionaire.
Especially back in
in 2001. Christ. I could have bought everything. You buy and sell all of you. Then he'd offer other incentives like, hey, if you want to take a stack of, because they do like mailers, like you could take a stack of envelopes home and stuff the envelopes and sign the mailers.
Did no one
fill them out?
So whenever you're talking to like did you sound like kids when you were on the phone?
No, you would try to sound
okay.
like, professionals. Like you didn't want people to know that you were 16 or 17, whatever you were. I would call. I'd be like, good evening, Mr. Abernathy. This is Glenn Clark from the Mortgage Consultants. Who? Yeah, Glenn Clark from the Mortgage Consultants. What do you want? Like, you could maybe, because you weren't calling their cell phones either. You were calling house phones back then. So people weren't as inclined to, just F off, right? You were calling house phones back in the day. So I'd be like, what do you want? I'm like, well, sir, we're just making some calls to folks in your area. Rates have gone down recently, and we just wanted to see if maybe we might be able to help you out with yours. And we were wondering if you were willing to share what your mortgage rate was in this moment. And if they answered at all, you save the number. Because even someone, like at the time, I'm telling you, like anybody, the rate had to be above 8. But you never knew when like rates were going to go down. Like you just saved their information because they didn't hang up on you. They didn't tell you to. And some people would tell you to F off. Some people would be terrible to you. Some people do the bit like they do at radio stations. They call in and they just want to talk to the phone screener for 30 minutes. Like, and for whatever reason, the phone screeners, despite the fact that we've been through this a million times, can't just be like, hey, I got to go.
That's what I would always tell the people when I was training people. I was like, you have to say, I can either put you on the air or I have to hang up now. I have a job to do. But for whatever reason, phone screeners really struggle with that. Anytime it went for more than 20 seconds, I was like, what are they saying?
It doesn't matter.
Right.
Doesn't matter what they're saying. You either tell them they're going on the air or I got to go. And there are people that would try to do that with you, and so then you had to do that bit. Like, and you were trying to figure out, is there any chance that somebody's talking to me because maybe I can get an app out of them, or are they just talking to me? So you have to do some of that at 16 or 17, whatever you were. Best job ever. Lucrative, incredible. You got to hang out with your friends all night. They made you dress decent. That was the only, like, you had to wear a polo shirt. Or
you probably felt like you were doing something important.
You couldn't show up in your, because remember, I wore pajamas to school every day.
Oh, okay.
Like, wow. So I then had to change between school and work out of my pajamas. Best job I ever had. Oh, my God, I would give anything for that. But the world's changed. Now it's all cell phone, and we get genuinely pissed off that somebody's calling our cell phone. We didn't really care all that much they were calling the house, right? Like, anybody can call a house phone. But when you're calling the cell phone, it feels like an invasion of privacy. You're like, go screw. You're my mortal enemy. I hate you. Don't even want to answer. But that's not one of the bits now is... Like, they purposely make it seem like when they leave a voicemail, it sounds something like this. But, yeah, we were just calling. I was hoping you would give me a call back. They're not saying who it was.
Right.
Because they want you to be like, oh, I missed who that was. It was clearly important. I missed it. Somehow it got cut off. But it didn't get cut off. They didn't say it. Because they don't want you to know. Because if you knew, then you'd know that you don't want to call them. That simple. So, yeah, I was telling Griffin that was what they were doing on this voicemail.
So you're going to call him back after the show?
No, don't think they're going to get
call back right now.
They're going to get that call.
Let me put it through.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to.
Do one of these on the air.
All right.
It's the off-season now, so.
Anything that we didn't cover from this weekend? Towson won again?
Towson won again. They
10 in a row?
Find a way.
Yeah, they
Nothing
do find
never
a way.
ever convincing, but they don't lose. So
meanwhile, UMBC, yuck. I don't know what happened to UMBC.
Yeah.
It is That is a mess. That is a mess.
I'm trying to think, John, because John was blowing up the YouTube chat out. I think I got to everything he wanted.
I missed
about.
John.
He said you're not. You guys are downplaying. We're not giving enough appreciation and respect to the demolition the Eagles pulled off. I was like, I feel like we.
I mean, it's almost why there's not a whole lot to talk. It was a demolition.
Yeah.
It was overwhelming.
And I think it's also because we know like the Chiefs still aren't going anywhere. Like the Chiefs are still very real.
It's incredible. It's incredible what the Eagles did. But I don't. Okay, now what? You know what I mean? Like I hate that it's like that. I said this at the start of the show. If the Eagles won a close game, we'd be spending way more time talking about the Eagles. It really is that like they wanted a blowout, and so we're sort of like, okay, like, well, that happened. But they built an unbelievable roster. They built one of the greatest rosters I've ever seen for a football team, from 1 to 53. I don't know that we've ever seen anything like this. They drafted, they developed, and then they shrewdly made big moves. They did everything that if you're looking for a model as a franchise, the Eagles model, draft, get pieces, have a nucleus, and then take big swings.
As in, like, A.J. Brown.
Yes, Saquon Barkley. Get the nucleus and then take big swings. It's what I think a lot of Ravens fans
draft Georgia Bulldogs, yeah.
Yeah, draft all of them. Every single one. I think a lot of Ravens fans are kind of feeling that. Like, this is proof that you got to take the big swings. Well, like, we're being a bit dismissive that Derrick Henry was a big swing. We don't feel that way because you didn't pay an exorbitant amount for him. But that's Derrick Henry still. They took a big swing and it worked. But if what you're feeling is the Eagles are proof that you need to take another big swing, that you needed to take more than one, okay, there's something to be said for that. But the Eagles still did it largely internally. 2 really big swings and a lot of it internal. A lot of draft develop. Defensively in particular. That they put together an unbelievable defense by just swinging and swinging and swinging in the draft. And they put together an incredible group. I mean, a truly spectacular group. And good for them. I mean, good for them, truly. Like, good for them. And worked out tremendously.
Then he said, John also said that he wants to talk about the new documentary, Becoming Led Zeppelin. I want to see this on the big screen.
I haven't. I did hear something about Becoming Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
Actually, I did hear something about that. Yeah, I would watch that 100%.
Okay.
John Proctor had said earlier
he wants Led Zeppelin to do the halftime show. I guess.
It's not. That's not a thing.
Right. Well, yeah. That's what
that's not happening.
Sure, people will want it though.
I don't even remember the last time Page and Plant performed together. I mean, Jimmy Page doesn't perform at all. I don't remember the last time they did a summer where they toured together, Page and Plant. But that might have been 20 years ago at this point. It might have been longer than that. I don't remember what year it was. There was a Page and Plant tour. And John Proctor had gotten in earlier to say he didn't watch the game at all. Now,
do you believe that, or
I don't know what to make of that. I think it's possible.
Was he texting us last night?
Remember that Proctor's in his 40s now. No, he texted us to say he was watching Celebrity Jeopardy or Pop Culture Jeopardy.
Well, I thought it was
which I have also watched. There is a team on Pop Culture Jeopardy named the Adley Clutchmans. There's also a team, and I can't remember what their name is, but I hated the guy. He became my mortal enemy. He was, every time he got a question right, and he got a lot of them, he'd be like, huh, how about that? Like, he had to have like a dialogue. He thought he was the main character. And so I was, God, they were rolling. Like, you were steamrolling everybody. I'm like, oh, damn, this guy's going to win. And then they blew it in Final Jeopardy in the knockout round, and I've never been more excited.
What are the Final Jeopardy questions like for these?
Pop culture. It's either everybody gets it or nobody gets it. Like, that really is typically the way, except for this one. It was one I would have gotten. This one was the 50th anniversary of this film turned into a famous viral Oscar failure or mistake.
50th anniversary
of this film.
So it came out in 70, give or take.
It didn't say what year this.
Right. I'm trying to figure out
what's the most famous Oscars screw up of all time.
I guess I don't know.
You don't remember when they announced the wrong
movie
as being the Best Picture winner?
Was that Moonlight?
They announced La La Land, and it was really Moonlight because Warren Beatty famously they handed him the wrong envelope, and it was an envelope for another award where it was an actor, and then it said La La Land beneath it. So he just read La La Land because that was the movie that was on the envelope. Well, by that, you might have forgotten that it was Bonnie and Clyde that they were celebrating the 50th anniversary of. And so, if you remembered that, then you would have gotten that question right. They didn't remember that. I did actually remember that. I would have gotten that right. I remembered that well because I remember Jimmy Kimmel being like, Warren, what did you do? I don't know why I remember that. I can't remember important things that would actually help my life.
You're a big Jimmy Kimmel guy. So
yeah, everybody knows I'm a huge Kimmel guy. I remember that vividly. Warren, what did you do? I remember that for some stupid reason. And so I got this Final Jeopardy correct. But the guy that got everything right and did a dialogue afterwards, like, oh, I like that band. Like, he had to say something after every question he got right.
Not bad.
Like anybody was there to watch him. God. How about that, Colin? This guy sucked.
Can't be that bad.
I was high-fiving. Like
I have to watch him now.
My kid wanted to high-five me during the Super Bowl because he was rooting for the Eagles. I woke him up so I could high-five him when this team lost on Pop Culture Jeopardy. He's like, Dad, what? I'm like, just trust me, boy. This is an important moment. Okay. My parents got my son a 2-minute drill football machine for his birthday last week. It's not the one at Dave & Buster's because like that would probably cost thousands of dollars because it's a huge piece of equipment, but it's a version of that where like there's like a 20-point hole, a 30-point hole, a 50-point hole, and then they light up one of the side, like the same way that 2-minute drill machine works.
Right.
It's a version of that, and we were
pop up one, yeah.
We were playing yesterday,
and I'm sure. So you put him in his place, I guess.
Kicked his ass. It's tough for him to show his face. Tough day.
Is he still playing with it, or?
Oh yeah.
Or did it ruin the whole thing for him?
So the machine cuts off. You get 2 minutes. The machine doesn't keep counting after $9.99. There's only 3 digits available. I had $9.99 before we had a minute left. I had it in the first minute.
And then he starts just running plays. Omaha.
No, then I'm throwing left-handed. I got $9.99 in the first minute. I did one round where I sat down, and like he's just like. So he played for hours, and then he finally hit $9.99 on his last throw of like 2 minutes, and he was so happy. He was so happy. It was a highlight of his week. I don't know what we're doing here. Can we just do tidbits? It's 12:30.
Yeah, I think so. I think
we didn't need to go this long.
Oh yeah, Puppy Bowl. That's right. Puppy Bowl was pretty good. So there was a puppy
this year. You know what? I didn't watch the Puppy Bowl.
There was
this
a
year,
puppy this year.
Yeah.
His name was John Harpaw.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I love the Puppy Bowl. It's one of my favorite things every year. But we didn't watch this year because we were Maryland game into setting up the 2-minute drill machine, which took 2 hours, to playing the 2-minute drill machine for the next couple of hours until the game started.
Yeah.
Mrs. Clark made a cheesesteak and Kansas City barbecue dips. She's made them. I think that's exactly the dips. She was like, "Oh my God, I made these new dips." The exact same dips she made 2 years ago when the Super Bowl was thing.
She doesn't have to get too creative since the Chiefs are always.
Yeah, they've been in basically every
Super
year.
Bowl. Yeah.
She wanted to put the cheesesteak dip in a football bread bowl. She said, "Should I put stitches on it?" I said, "Yeah, that'd be cute." She put the stitches the wrong way.
Oh no!
She had them going up and down. God love her. God love her. She made the dips. That's
probably looked right though.
No, it didn't. It definitely did not.
Yeah, we did Philly cheesesteaks as well because Gwen's an Eagles fan.
Oh,
Chili Gwen is an Eagles fan. Yeah,
big day for her.
Yes,
big day for Gwen's Chili Bowl.
She was like when the first touchdown. I was cheering when the Jahan Dotson touchdown got called back, the first one. So I was like, yes, they're gonna give it to Saquon.
Yeah,
and then they didn't.
Yeah, come on, you should have known better.
Well, I thought that was more of a third down play. And,
no.
Wait until you actually need it.
Why waste time?
I agree, but I was hoping they wouldn't be that.
Tidbit is brought to you today by the CIAA tournament.
Baltimore is welcoming the excitement of the Food Lion CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament back to CFG Bank Arena February 25th through March 1st. Get your tickets. They are available now at Ticketmaster.com. Again, head over to Ticketmaster.com. Find your tickets to the Food Lion CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament at CFG Bank Arena February 25th through March 1st.
Proctor is swearing he didn't watch a second of the Super Bowl. I mean, maybe. I don't have any reason.
Missed a good game.
No, he didn't. He didn't miss anything. I don't have any reason to doubt him. There's no, it's not like a brag of some sort. Like, look how cool I am. Like, Okay, dude, you watch Pop Culture Jeopardy.
He hates Kendrick Lamar that much, huh?
Yeah, that's what it is,
Wow.
probably. Yeah, got a lot of questions about him. All right, what you got?
What do I have? Oh, Cooper DeJean definitely stole Saquon's shine yesterday because obviously Saquon. Before yesterday, no player had ever scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl on their birthday.
Oh, how about that?
Of course, yesterday was Saquon's birthday. Everyone knew that. It was also Cooper DeJean's birthday.
That's true.
And he scored the first touch. Well, I guess Saquon didn't even score once, did he?
How about that?
Cooper DeJean became the first player to score a touchdown on his birthday in the Super Bowl. So, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Coop. Saquon became the third player to lead the NFL in rushing and win the Super Bowl in the same season. Only 3 players have ever led the league in rushing and won a Super Bowl in the same year.
Marshall Faulk.
Not Marshall Faulk.
Emmett Smith.
Emmett Smith 3 times did this.
And we know it wasn't Jim Brown. We know
No.
it wasn't Barry Sanders.
Nope.
John Riggins?
Not John Riggins.
Terrell Davis.
Terrell Davis, yes.
Okay.
Terrell Davis. Emmett Smith, and now Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts, he became the third player to lead his team to win the Super Bowl and lead his team in passing and rushing. Other 2?
Win a Super Bowl.
Win the Super Bowl and lead your team
in the Super Bowl. I don't know. Steve Young.
Steve Young did.
Always
yes.
Steve Young.
Yeah. Super Bowl 29. So this was
Yeah.
Super Bowl 29. And then I was worried I got my Roman numerals wrong.
Mahomes
last year.
Yeah.
Mahomes last year. Steve Young, Mahomes, and now Jalen Hurts leading their team in passing and rushing and winning the Super Bowl. And then also, and this is a good one. Devontae Smith. He became the 5th player to win the Heisman in their lives, to win a Heisman, win a national championship, and win the Super Bowl.
That's a good.
This comes from Scott Hansen.
Scott Hansen, huh?
That's Chris Hansen.
All right. I see you're holding a strawberry daiquiri and won the Heisman Trophy. What are you? I'm just enjoying a strawberry daiquiri, guy. What's going on here? Okay. How about Heisman Trophy, NCAA college championship, and a Super Bowl? How about man? Okay, I'm like everybody I'm thinking of. I'm immediately ruling out something, something immediately that they didn't do. How about? I mean, boy. Wow. How about Christ? Like I'm literally going through every single one. Like because I'm starting with Heisman winners is what I'm doing, and I'm going through all these Heisman winners. Like, well, he didn't. How about don't?
Okay.
Don't. Let me work it out. Let me work it out. We got to go back a ways, right? Like this is not.
Yeah. Let's see the most recent.
Yeah, this has got to go back to like.
Not too far back. There's some that are back, and then there's some.
Is there anybody since 2000?
Yes.
Who is since 2000? How many since 2000?
2.
Were they starters in the NFL?
Yeah, they were all. Yes, they were all legitimate players.
Won a Super Bowl. It's like Cam made a Super Bowl but didn't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, not Cam.
Not RG3, not Manziel, not Jameis. It's not Joe Burrow. My God. Who am I forgetting about? It's not Leinart. It's not Carson Palmer. It's not. You said there have been 2 since 2000?
Yes. Well, I mean, so he won a Super Bowl post 2000.
Oh, I mean Heisman winners. Have
Okay.
any of them won the Heisman?
He won the Heisman in, like, it was that night. I don't want to say the year, but in the 90s.
Okay, so none of the Heisman winners since 2000 have done it.
One has.
Someone who's won the Heisman since 2000 has done this. Oh my God! I was gonna say, Charles Woodson?
Charles Woodson.
I couldn't remember if Michigan won the title.
He did. He does have a national championship, a Heisman, and a Super Bowl. Charles Woodson.
National championships were a little wonky back then.
Yeah, fair.
And then someone who's won a Heisman since 2000. You're gonna have to tell me. I don't know.
He won the Heisman in 2000. Well, now I want to make sure I get the year right. 5.
2005. Won a Heisman in 2005. Reggie Bush?
Reggie Bush.
He was on the Saints team that won.
Yes.
That's a little wonky because he wasn't the primary.
All right. I guess that's
that's a little.
I mean,
that's a little wonky. But
who was the primary back on that team?
I think it was Deuce, wasn't it?
Was it? Oh yeah, I guess.
Hang on a second. Maybe I'm wrong. 2005 Saints.
2009 Saints.
Right.
Who was the leading rusher?
It was actually Pierre Thomas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Pierre Thomas was pretty good.
Reggie Bush had 390 yards.
They needed all 398 of them.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
It was a misleading. Not that I would have, because I forgot that Reggie Bush was on that Saints team, but it's a little bit misleading when I said they were starters.
Okay, fine.
Bit misleading.
I mean, was he returning? I'm sure he was returning, right?
Probably
the starting returner.
Probably, but I don't even remember that. All right, and you said there was another one?
Let's see, their leading returner that year was Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush had the most returns. Yeah. Well, Courtney Roby was the kick returner. Reggie was the punt returner.
Did you say there was another one?
There's 2 more. Yes.
Jesus Christ.
1981
is the year they won the Heisman.
Yes, and then also 1976 Heisman.
Marcus Allen.
Marcus Allen, yes.
Yeah,
Marcus Allen won.
I tell you what, I didn't know for
03?
sure that he'd won a college national championship. And then you said the other one was
76.
Earl Campbell? No, Earl Campbell didn't win it. And that's not Archie Griffin because he didn't win. I don't know. 76?
Pitt Panther.
Oh, Tony Dorsett.
Tony Dorsett.
Right.
Tony Dorsett,
Right.
Marcus Allen, Charles Woodson, Reggie Bush.
All right.
Devontae Smith.
All right. How about that? It's a tough list. Haven't picked up the print issue yet. Final days. Then it's gone. Make sure you get it this week. Last week for the best of issue of Press Box with Lamar on the cover. Let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
Fun lacrosse matchup tonight, 5 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Towson Syracuse, rematch of the NCAA tournament thriller from the first round last year. ESPN Plus. I think technically they call it ACC Network Extra or whatever, but
it's all available on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know. I think that means that there might be regional sports channels that are allowed to carry it or something, but I think Masson's the only one that would do that, and I was trying to double check to see if Masson was carrying it, and it didn't look like they were. So, and why would they? They probably have a random Nationals game that they want to air.
Well, duh. Or like World Series of Poker or something like that.
Yeah, not on Masson. Not the case. But yeah, it's on ESPN Plus. So Towson Syracuse lacrosse today at 5 o'clock. The 2 local MEAC teams are not in action tonight, which is weird. But UMES is at home against Howard at 8. I guess the big thing tonight is Luka Doncic makes his Lakers debut, And ESPN has picked that one up, so you can watch it, the Jazz and the Lakers tonight at 10:30 on ESPN, which means that they have to change something about their college basketball broadcast plans, but they're not telling you what that is. As of this moment, they still have
Carolina.
It's Baylor. Well, that one would still be at 7 o'clock, like that Carolina Clemson.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But Baylor-Houston, which is a pretty good game. I mean, Houston,
Better than
obviously.
Carolina
Yeah.
Clemson. Although I guess Clemson got a big win.
That's scheduled for 9 o'clock. Now, that will not be over by the time the 10:30 NBA game starts. So you would think on ESPN's website they would tell you the new network that they were airing it on. They're not. They're still listing it as being on ESPN.
Maybe they'll squeeze it in.
Yeah. Maybe. Like, I was thinking maybe they wanted to move it up to, like, do the first game at 6:30, 8:30, and then 10:30. Like, that would be an option, but no. Then you would think, well, maybe they'll just move that game to ESPN 2, but they've got a game scheduled, Charlotte, Florida Atlantic on ESPN 2. Cool. Probably can bump that to ESPN. I think they have a strategy, but they're not telling us.
Commit
we don't care.
I guess because they don't know what they want to put on ESPN.
Maybe they
for
were
the hour.
Maybe they were waiting to definitively know that Luka Doncic was playing in the that they needed like an injury report, because then if somehow
so they still won't know until like 9:30.
Like this morning, like I'm wondering. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. But like it's very annoying for the five of us that would do this, where we'd like to have tubular correct. We don't know. And I'm guessing for people that root for Houston, for example, they'd probably like to know too. Dude, where's my basketball game? Somewhere. I assume it'll be broadcast. Spurs Wizards. The Wizards. Oh boy, that's sad. I know it was a big moment for you as they ran off 3 straight wins. It looked like everything was turning around, only to lose.
Right back on track now.
Yeah, right. Spurs Wizards tonight at 7 o'clock on Monumental. NBA TV for Warriors Bucks at 8. TNT and True TV, the one-on-one. This is the thing that I've suggested the NBA do for All-Star break for years. Get rid of all of the crap All-Star stuff and just do a one-on-one tournament. Unrivaled is doing it tonight. They're doing a one-on-one tournament. The problem is apparently they got a lot of injuries, and I think the flu bug is ripped through. They had to cancel a game this weekend, so it was supposed to be like all day. They were supposed to start it at 2 o'clock today, but they had to cancel. Like they don't have enough players participating, which is why it was never going to happen in the NBA. Like NBA players would be like, I don't want to be embarrassed, so they were all just going to opt out of doing it. But boy, it would be cool. There would be a lot of highlights. TNT and True TV for the unrivaled one-on-one tournament tonight at 7. Netflix for WWE Monday Night Raw at 8. Non-sports.
Just a few things. Extracted, of course, on Fox, the new show. We saw a billion commercials for.
I don't remember seeing them, but
you're like a family member watches a live feed of you trying to survive the wilderness, and then you get to, like, I guess if you win you get money or something, and if not, or if you're like, I can't watch them suffer, you like extract them.
All right.
And save them.
Okay. Sure it is.
Netflix also has a new docuseries, Surviving Black Hawk Down. So, of course, talking to people that survived Black Hawk Down.
Okay. Like going to the movie theater and watching it?
No. The actual event.
No, I don't know if I went to the movie theater for Black Hawk Down. I think that might have been a DVD rental.
Right. No, people surviving the actual event. Zoe Saldana will be on Kimmel, and new episode of The Bachelor, of course, on ABC as well. So not a whole lot.
Yeah, very good. Watch Towson Syracuse lacrosse. Thanks today to
Stevenson basketball.
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, that's right. You got that. Or you can come play trivia with me, I guess. Thanks to James.
You would rather me do that? Or?
No, not you. You weren't helpful to us. Other people that know things. We could use more general knowledge. Yeah. Do you
know a lot about this Eastern and Stevenson basketball team?
That's good. If that comes up in trivia tonight, could really use something about the presidents. Could use that. All right,
they
thanks.
do it before President's Day.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do it every week. Doesn't matter.
Oh.
They're always president questions. Thanks today to James Gist. Thanks also
such great men.
Thank you to all of them. Matt Collison as well, to Jeremy Conn. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the.
Can you take me higher?
Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com.
Future Super Bowl halftime show, maybe.
Maybe. Patrick Stevens tomorrow. Anything else?
We're gonna catch up with Tyler Tejada.
Oh, Tyler Tejada, Towson Star.
Yes.
Yeah, they've won 10 straight games. So look forward to that. Very good. Thanks everybody at Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, the Brigance Brigade, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, CIAA Tournament, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Cost Us In, MSAA, Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer at BuyAToyota.com, and Maryland Sports. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Monday evening. Go Towson Lacrosse. Duke sucks.